Sarah. Are you ready?
I'm a lady.
And welcome to Idol Days, the show about idol anime. I'm Star.
And I'm Sarah.
And hey, Sarah, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Are you ready for some trauma?
Wahoo! More trauma from our boys.
Woo! More trauma from the boys.
Just
Boy
to
feels.
add on to the numbers, this is our fourth episode about IDOLiSH7 for this third season called Third Beat, but it's only the first half of the third season, so it's Core 1. So IDOLiSH7, Third Beat, Core 1, Episode 4.
Yay! Keeping it complex with the boys. So we can go ahead and say this right up top. If this is your first episode of our podcast, it shouldn't be.
Turn back now.
Yeah, go back in time. We have done 3 episodes covering IDOLiSH7, this expansive franchise now. Mm-hmm. It is now tied with our second most expansive franchise, Wake Up Girls. Mm-hmm. Unless you count Idolmaster, which I kind of don't because those are all separate series.
Yeah.
With different sets of characters. Mm-hmm. I guess the Idolmaster plus the movie and the Love Lives plus the movie were also 3 episodes each. But
we're on 4.
We're on 4 now.
And there will be 5 eventually.
Yeah, eventually. Have they said when part 2 of season 3 is coming out yet?
This year? That's all we got.
Hopefully, because this episode leaves on a big fucking cliffhanger.
Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, dun dun dun. Yeah, no, like, I knew in my heart, like, I knew from people talking about it on our Discord server. By the way, join the Idol Days Discord server. There's a link in our website. Wow! I knew that this was only going to be, like, half of a season, and they were going to come back and do the second part of it later, just from people talking about it in the Discord. Mm-hmm. But I still was on, like, episode 12 of 13, and being like, wow, I wonder how they're going to wrap all this up in 2 episodes.
What?
Nope. The answer is they don't.
Nope.
And they leave a lot of hooks for the next season to get their freaking teeth into. And oh my god, this season is a lot.
Yeah. So, speaking of a lot, there's a lot of boys.
Oh my god, they keep adding more.
So,
like, I-7 used to be easy. There were 7 of them. And then, like, a couple side characters. And then there were also Trigger. But, like, the first season, they were kind of less important. Now there's just with I-7 and Trigger, which has 3, and then Reveal, which has 2, and then all the side supporting characters, and then they add 4 new assholes into the mix. Technically 5 if you want to include Purple Hair Sociopath. So many.
Why don't we get into the characters we've already met? Just say very briefly.
But again, I will say, if this is your first episode of our podcast, please do yourself a favor, go back and listen to the other IDOLiSH7 episodes, which is IDOLiSH7 1.
Second Beat.
Second Beat. Well, no. So there's season 1. There's Vibrato, which is like a little mini season. There's a third season. There's a third part, which is season 2, and then this is our 4th episode, which is the first half of season 3.
We covered them chronologically, so just go back in time. Mm-hmm. So IDOLiSH7 is our main group of boys. There are 7 with them, 7 of them, just like their name. They all have image colors down the rainbow. Very briefly, red is Riku. He has lopsided hair. He's main center, happy main character energy. And last season, there was some drama about him having asthma and not being able to be the center, but that's probably resolved.
It's mostly resolved. He does not have a lot of screen time this season, my poor boy. We have other boys to focus on.
Star, Orange.
Orange is Mitsuki, a sweet, underappreciated boy who tries very hard.
Yes.
He's my son, and I want the best for him. He gets a lot in this season, but he also got a lot last season. But his drama in this season is more kind of coinciding with another character's drama, which we'll get into, obviously.
Yes. Our yellow character is Nagi. He is half Japanese, so he has blonde hair. His other half is North American, which is a made-up country where he used to be friends with the composer for the legendary idol Zero, aka Lelouch, but the composer went missing, and now he's here hanging out with the i7 boys.
Yeah. Well, no, I think the composer died. Zero went missing.
Zero went missing, that's right. And Nagi's characters, he's very flamboyant. He has, like, broken Japanese. He likes Magical Girl Kokona, a fictional anime character. He's a weeb. He's
a little bit of a playboy, but he's surprisingly charming. He grew on me a lot. Yes. And then Greenie is probably the most important character this season.
At least the first half.
The first half, yeah. Is Yamato. He has like kind of like this dark green hair, glasses. He's kind of ironically the jaded and kind of cynical one. And he's got some shit to go through this season. The whole first half of the season is about him working out his daddy issues, basically. So we'll get into him.
There are two blues. Light blue is Tamaki. He is probably the youngest character in the group, but he's tall. He kind of is like Miki Idolmaster, a little like naive, just like good at dancing, but also childish.
Yeah, he's childish, but he's like he's a good boy, but he's not like a goody two shoes boy, if that makes sense. He's like, oh, you're yeah. That's Tamaki.
He's also one half of a subunit called Mezzo with our purple boy, who we'll get to.
Yes, Henry Fire Emblem.
Henry Fire Emblem.
Yes. So our second blue character is Iori, who is Sarah's favorite, unless things have changed.
Well, he's my favorite i7.
He's your favorite i7, yeah. My favorite boy keeps switching around.
I understand.
As we learn more about them, my loyalties change. Whoa. But anyway, so Iori is Mitsuki Orange's younger brother. And he is kind of like the stoic, serious. He's the blue one of the group, obviously, and he acts like a blue. He's such a fucking blue.
And just like every other Idol franchise, he and Red are in love.
According to you and most of the fandom.
and the characters, fans that are in show are also shipping them.
There's an in-show and in-canon like fan club that ships them. It's very Sarah core. And then Sarah, our last character for i7.
It's Henry Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem.
A.k.a. Sugo. He has... Sogo. A.k.a. Sogo, Henry Fire Emblem. He looks like Henry Fire Emblem. He has white hair, purple eyes, carries a knife. He's one half of Mezzo, so he's kind of the one who tries to keep little brother, or not little brother, but young yakking Tamaki in check.
Yeah. They're good boys.
Yes.
He's the goody two-shoes good boy.
Yes.
Kind of.
And he got into music because his uncle was a famous musician, and there was drama with the Cujo guy from last season, but we don't really talk about that much this season.
No, not really. Like, we'll get there, but I was surprised at how much that got swept under the rug.
Yep.
There's a lot of plot points that I was expecting them to cover more in this season, and they just kind of didn't.
Yep. And then, speaking of the Cujo thing, there are more boys. There's Trigger.
2/3 of which that I love, 1/3 of which I refuse to speak about.
The 1/3 Star doesn't like to speak about is Ten. He is Riku's brother, twin brother. You know they're siblings because they have the same haircut, just reversed in different colors. He's an Angie boy. There's a whole bunch of weird, complicated... I saw So we were watching this on Crunchyroll, full disclosure. Yeah. And I saw a comment on the Crunchyroll, like in the comment section, where it's like, IDOLiSH7 is just a soap opera. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
They're all related.
It kind of is at this point.
It really is. Everyone's interconnected. And 10 is...
The days of our idols.
Yes. 10 is dramatic and angry all the time, but he's also like the youngest member of Trigger.
He's a little punk ass. I'm gonna punt him across the football field. But the other two in Trigger are good boys.
Yes.
I'll talk about my best boy, and you can talk about your best boy. So my best boy is Ryunosuke, or just Ryu, which is gonna get confusing because they introduce a character named Ryo in this season, and he sucks. But Ryunosuke is a very good boy. He is tall, he is sexy, he acts sexy, but he doesn't want to. He just wants to be nice, and then his manager's like, you're hot, and you need to use that. And he's like, aw, but I guess I'm good at being sexy, but I don't really like being sexy. He's just a himbo.
He's just a himbo.
You know I'm into that, Sarah.
I understand.
Oh, he's great. Oh, he's got, like, brown hair, and, like, all the Trigger boys have, like, the cat pupils, so they kind of look like bad guys, but they're only bad guys in the first season, except Ten, who I'm still waiting to become likable, and at this point, I've kind of resigned myself that it might never happen.
He's just hanging out in the Nico Shiho text chain.
Yeah. Nico, Shiho, Ten,
Nico,
and
Shiho,
everybody
10.
else. Just all the bitch asses.
And the last of Trigger, because they're only a trio, there is not 7 of them, thankfully,
Thank God.
is my best boy, Gaku. He has whitish, shaggy hair. He is the son of the company president. He also has a little bit of himbo energy, but he's a little smarter also. Just like, he's just great. He's just like the chaotic one.
Yeah, so if Ryunosuke is a soft himbo, Gaku is like a pointy himbo.
Pointy
if that
himbo,
makes sense.
yes.
Like that's kind of he's a sharp himbo.
Sharp himbo.
Like he's not as nice on the like he's not as outwardly nice, but there's still like kind of the softness on the inside.
Yes. And a low number of brain cells as far as awareness of the world around him.
Like he's got some of the brain cells,
does.
but not as many as you think he would have upon closer inspection.
No. And
he's great.
I ship him with some of the other characters who we'll get to, the management.
Oh ho.
Which was great for me this season.
Oh yes. Oh
Yes. But then there's one other boy group before we get to the management.
Yeah.
Which is Revale. We met them last season. There's only
There's
two of
thankfully
them.
only 2 of them.
I know. I wish they continued this trend of going down, but unfortunately...
Yeah, but no. The new asshole group has 4, and I'm like, damn it!
Keep going down, please.
Broke the fucking pattern.
So, Revale is 2 members with some caveats to that. Yuki is the one who's been in Revale the longest, a founding member. He's tall, he has white hair because his name is Yuki, and he's like very like mysterious.
I don't think he has white hair because his name is Yuki Sarah. I think that might be the opposite direction.
Well, who knows?
His parents gave birth to him and his mother was like, oh no, he's a white-haired anime boy.
Yuki. But he has like, he seems very mysterious. He's very much like, has a facade of pleasantry, but like underneath there's like the darkness.
The darkness. I love how you said that. The darkness.
The darkness. And then his counterpoint, Star.
His other member of the duo, Revale, is Momo, who is just the biggest ball of sunshine with inner trauma that you've ever seen in your life. I adore him.
He's so good.
He's just like, he's kind of on the short side. He's got like black hair with white tips. He's got frosted tips. And he's got like pointy anime teeth.
Star, he got his frosted tips after he joined Revale, so Yuki gave him the frost.
This is Frosted Momo.
Frosted Momo from the snow that is Yuki.
He went out in the snow because he was like, hi, I'm your partner. Now I have to like get my frosted tips.
Exactly.
He has like kind of the energy. He could totally host diners, drive-ins, and dives. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
He's Guy Fieri. So we have Yuki and Guy Fieri as a duo.
No, you already tried to name a character in my D&D game, Guy Fieri. You can't just name every character with Guy Fieri energy, Guy Fieri. That's too many. One is enough.
If
This
you
is
would
a Highlander situation.
And if you fans would like to debate Star about how Sarah's right on naming everyone Guy Fieri, you can join our Discord.
And if you want to tell Sarah that she's a dumbass, you can write her a physical letter. And here's her address.
So,
1234 Sarah Lane,
ooh, I like that.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Uh-oh. That's too close to the truth. And then coming off of Revale, something we learned last season, we'll get into some of the management very, very briefly. There is Bonri, who used to be Yuki's partner in Revale, but now he works for IDOLiSH7 as a manager.
Because there was drama.
There's
If you want to
drama.
learn about that drama, go back and listen to our third IDOLiSH7 episode, because we're not going to get into it. It's too long.
Well, we might, just because they rehashed some stuff. But, and then IDOL7's producer is Tsumugi, or manager. There's presidents of each of the companies. Tsumugi's dad is the president of IDOL7's company. Gaku's dad is president of Trigger's company. And then there's just a random manager guy in charge of Revale. They're kind of background characters this season, but they exist, and we'll probably mention them.
Yeah, Tsumugi really only, I think she does, 3 things in this entire season.
Yeah, last season there was a lot more Tsumugi. This one, not as much.
She gets, 1 page of the script.
Yes.
For, the entire 13-episode thing.
So, after 12 minutes and a billion boys...
12 episodes and just 12 boys and a lot of other characters.
We can finally talk about the plot of our 4th episode about IDOLiSH7 of the first half of season 3.
It will never not be hard to talk about.
Nope.
Speaking of things that are hard to talk about, Trigger gets canceled immediately.
F Trigger. We can't talk about them anymore.
We don't talk about Trigger. No.
Well, we'll get back to that, because we only get that at the very beginning, and then it cuts to what led up to this.
Yep, the entire season is what led up to this. So, spoiler alert, they drop a spoiler for the last episode in the first episode, which is Trigger do get canceled. You don't find out why.
Which, honestly, it's a good thing they dropped that spoiler, because it really wasn't that great first few episodes.
No. Well, okay, so, I actually had that problem with the second season, too. I remember mentioning, IDOLiSH7 kind of has a trend in the writing, right? Where, the first, couple of episodes are honestly kind of boring because they're setting up the dominoes. And then, at the end of episode 2 or 3, they just, knock that first domino over, and then the rest of the season is just the rest of the dominoes falling over, and how do we clean up the mess?
Yes. But we need that hook, because the setup takes a while.
Yeah, there's so much to set up. So let's break down the setup that happens in these first 2 eps. So we get the knowledge that, pretty much all the boys that we already know are doing pretty good.
Including Trigger. At this point, everyone's okay.
Everyone's good. Everyone's fine. Everyone's they set up a couple of plot hooks. They're oh yeah, I7's getting an anniversary concert. Trigger's doing a musical and it's doing well. But then we see the same green-haired asshole from the end of season 2 being dramatic about how it's the end of Trigger is coming. I'm gonna get your ass 10. And Sarah, I need to pause for a moment because I had watching this season, I had a horrifying realization.
Yes.
This guy, we learn later that his name is Isumi. I don't remember his first name.
I think it was Haruka, actually.
Which is so confusing because there's so many idol characters named Haruka. I'm going to call him Isumi because it's easy to remember, but I'm more than likely just going to call him green-haired bitch because that's what I called him in my notes. He looks so much like Rio Idolmaster.
Uh-oh.
Dearly Star's Idolmaster, who eventually transferred to the Side M Idolmaster. Dearly Star's Idolmaster, that I will never stop being angry about them just completely dropping the ball and forgetting that these characters exist, Idolmaster. Green-haired bitch has almost the exact same haircut as him, but it's lighter, so this is his evil twin.
Uh-oh.
IDOLuminati confirmed!
But yeah.
Yeah.
All we get right now is that there's some boy who's very angry about the existence of Trigger.
And he's Trigger fucking sucks.
Yes.
So we cut to a party.
So this is a big old industry party. It's for some TV stations, 50th anniversary or something. And all of the bigwigs are there, and also all of the idols are there.
All of the boys, and they're all wearing suits. It's very cute. They mingle, because we gotta get the boys mingling up in here.
You get some exposition about how in this fictional universe the entertainment industry is set up, which is there's all these small franchises like Gaotome and IS7 Boys, little idol group. But there are 2 big production agencies. One is Tsukimo and one is Hoshikage, and for the last who knows how long they've been in charge, and they decide who's who in the entertainment industry. Not just idols, all entertainment.
Yeah. I think it's Tsukumo, actually.
Tsukumo, that's it.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically we get kind of some backstory that Hoshikage They're kind of like the nicer guys. They like kind of treat their performers a little better. It's more of like a family-run industry. And Tsukumo are assholes, and they tend to like use people up and then spit them out.
Yep.
And so their like managing style is real rough. And so these are basically like the two big wig headshots, and so much of this season is spent on industry drama. You kind of at least have to remember Tsukumo, because they're the bad guys for this season, basically.
Yes. And so there's just some weird mingling. You get to see some of the other idol boys' connections, right? So like Momo gets called over by some son of Tsukumo president to go talk to him. We learn more about him very soon.
Fucking asshole so much. I know he was designed to be hated, but I just hackles up immediately. I hate this fucko.
His name, confusingly, is Rio.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call him Purple Hair McFace.
Purple Hair McFace.
He's a dick. We don't have a purple-haired character yet.
No, we don't. So, Purple Hair McFace. He has purple hair. He has, like, yellow eyes that are all squinty, so...
Yeah, he's very much like what you would think of if you described a character as fox-faced, kind of. Is that derogatory? I don't know, but that's what he looks like. It's derogatory when I'm talking about him specifically because he's such a fucko.
Yeah. And he's kind of all like to Momo like, oh, I hate idols. I hate what you guys are doing. And one day all of you will be mine.
And Momo's just like, you suck.
Yep.
Winky face.
Yep.
He's ghastly unpleasant, basically.
Yes. And it's very funny because it's like, I feel like they already had a bad guy, and they just are like, nah, we'll make a new one.
We already had some bad guys. What's this one more? We need a purple-haired character in this cast.
And it's a little weird, too, because personality-wise, he's not that different from Kujo. So it's like, they have, like...
Well, he's more... So Kujo's flamboyant, but kind of in a goth way. This guy's flamboyant in... God, who
like a clown way.
Of? Like a clown, like an evil, like, clown, yeah, kinda. He's just, like, he's evil, he's almost just, like, Batman villain evil.
That's true.
He's like the Joker.
Yeah.
He has purple hair! Well, no, the Joker has green hair, I think.
But purple clothes.
Purple clothes, yeah, because, secondary colors are what the villains use. Primary colors are the good guys, and... I'm just realizing how well that works because Yamato is the green one in i7 and he's one of the more jaded ones. And anyway. Stars thinking about color theory on the podcast, a visual medium. Anyway.
There are more interactions that are somewhat important. There's a point where Gaku is talking to Samugi and they're just like, oh yeah, it was so good to see you. How's Trigger doing? Like just being nice to each other. And some industry person comes over and they're like, oh, you two are really getting along, huh? And then Gaku's like, oh shit, I should go.
Yeah, Gaku and Samugi are gonna have some stuff. It's not a lot, but it comes up.
Still, love Sarah ships it.
I know that Sarah ships it.
I'm here.
But listen, I've never played the i7 mobile game, but I think Samugi is the character that you embody as the player, right?
So, I'm not sure about that, but this is going behind the scenes. Sarah watched the season and it's like, I want to just look up some ship stuff.
Sarah, you did it.
I did.
Who am I kidding? You fucking did.
No, this whole plot actually, like, basically season 3 is a plot of the mobile game, including this interaction. So I think the Gaku-Samugi interaction is different than other characters, even in the game.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's the vibe we've kind of gotten the entire time.
Yeah. So,
but this season kind of presses on the consequences
of Sarah's
that.
Here.
Sarah's here for that.
Sarah's here for that.
Yeah, kind of brushing back to what I mentioned a little bit earlier. We get an interaction with Ten and Tamaki. And if you will remember, because you should have listened to our previous episodes or have watched i7 by this point, the finale of season 2, Tamaki's whole thing was about, like, finding his sister, and he finally finds his sister. Turns out he's Ten's new adopted younger sister.
What a soap opera.
A soap fucking opera. And so Tamaki finally gets his chance to kind of talk to Ten after all that shook down, because we really didn't get much in the aftermath of season 2. And even this conversation feels so shoehorned in because it never gets brought up again.
Nope.
And I just feel bad for Tamaki now because, like, he just feels so brushed under the rug.
Yeah, he felt like he went from being a character that felt more, I guess, human to, like, a trope this season.
Yeah, it's just like, man, there was so much good build-up and just, like, no payoff with Tamaki's character. And I am really hoping that they're just saving it for later, because right now it just feels like his whole backstory, his whole motivation for being an idol is just fucking gone now.
Yep.
And I'm frustrated that he's not doing more about it. And this is kind of a problem that you get to when you have too many characters, is inevitably some of them have to get pushed aside. And I feel like Tamaki should not have been one of the characters that got pushed aside in this season.
Yeah, especially
like
after last season.
Like, he's not even one of my favorite characters. I enjoy, like, every character in this show for different reasons. Tamaki's, like, he's a good boy. I'm not sure if I would consider him, like, one of my top, oh my god, love him favorites. But I do enjoy him as a character. I want to see him get his payoff. And he doesn't get his payoff in this season. I'm like, then when, I7? Ugh. Anyway, I'm salty about it. I'm salty about many things this season. This is probably, like, the saltiest I've gotten about this show
it does
so
feel
far
like
this season.
One of my problems with this season is it just feels like it's going forward as if last season didn't happen, kind of.
Kinda, yeah! Like, they left so much stuff open last season, and in lieu of, like, unpacking any of that, they go forward with all this new shit. And I'm like, wait, can we finish what we started? Or at least give us some, like, remedial closure and a reason to come back to it later? And I'm just like, because, like, okay, so Tamaki's thing, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, I know, but I need to talk about this now because it never comes up again in the season. Tamaki's whole thing is he was trying to find a sister because he had no way to contact her. He could have gotten her contact information from 10 because her whole deal is she's training overseas now. Why would he not have been able to get her contact info? And we see, like, a short phone call or something,
and
I7.
then even if it was because 10 wouldn't, like, let them talk to her, then, like, why isn't Tamaki mad at 10? Like,
yeah, why isn't he I feel like Tamaki should hate 10.
I know, and they're just neutral.
They're just so neutral about each other. And I'm like, where is this rage?
Yeah.
It just feels like they dropped the Tamaki ball extremely hard, and I just feel bad for him. I
agree. I feel like it would have been better even if they just didn't have the interaction. It's just like, it kind of having it be so lukewarm makes it worse.
Yeah, it's like, if they robbed us of this interaction entirely, we could at least assume that maybe Tamaki fucking hates him and is just avoiding talking to him now. But no, it's just like they have this 30-second conversation about Tamaki's little sister, and then it never gets brought up again this season.
Nope.
And I'm like, if you didn't give us that, we could have at least assumed that maybe they just fucking hate each other now, which would be reasonable for Tamaki to feel that way. It would be totally reasonable. Welcome to the I Hate 10 Club, Tamaki. We have matching jackets.
Back to this party where the lukewarm interaction happens. There's also a little bit where Iori and Riku are talking, and Iori is kind of strategizing with Riku being like, well, there's this other award that's coming up we have to win, and we can't fall behind just because we have success now because we've only been an idol group for 1 year.
And that never comes up again.
But I'm assuming season 2, just from the way part 2 after the way part 1 ends.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, there's so many, like, just things that they kind of sprinkle in here. It's like, this will be resolved in season 2.
Yeah.
But they're so short that you forget that they happen.
And then...
it's like, it just didn't need to happen quite right now.
And then the big scene, which is Yamato gets pulled aside, and he's talking to an industry professional who works for Hoshikage, one of the big wigs, right, of the entertainment industry. And while they're having a conversation, Mitsuki and Nagi happen to just be looking for Yamato at the exact same time. So they overhear this conversation where the bigwig is like, promise you won't expose the Chiba salon now.
What's the Chiba salon?
All right. And then Yamato's like, I'm not stupid. I wouldn't do anything that will ruin I7. And then the Nagi and Mitsu are like, well, what the fuck is going on?
We don't find out yet!
Yeah, we get the ending, which is, like season 1, a sad Trigger song.
Yep, Trigger just gets to be the resident sad boy, ending boys just forever. This is just the thing that they have booked. There are a couple of other, like, smaller details that I did want to point out in this first episode. Firstly, I tweeted about this, so I have to mention it in the episode, or else there's not going to be any payoff for the people who follow me on Twitter. There are, like we said, there are some new assholes introduced who are, like, the bad guy, edgy boy idols. They're, like, Trigger, but worse. And we don't meet them formally until the very, very end of the season. But there's, like, we get very short snippets of all of them. So the green hair boy is one of them. Minami is another one. He is gonna be in the movie with Yamato and Yuki that was hinted at last season. We see a little bit of him. He's just kind of like the kind of regal, like, prodigy type, princely type, yeah. And he apparently has some sort of connections to North Maria. He, like, studied abroad there or something, and so, like, he's kind of interested in Nagi, and that's never going to come up again this season. Probably. There's also... I forgot his name. I know I mentioned it in my notes later, but we don't learn his name until way later. So I just wrote in my notes, at some point, some motherfucker with the tightest dress pants known to man rolls up into the party.
Yeah.
But, like, I forget his fucking name.
It's
we learn
Mito.
it later. It's what?
Mito, the hotelier's son.
That's it. But yeah, he's a fucking dick, and he looks like an asshole, and I hate that he's hot. It's like, he's got, like, red eyes and, like, kind of medium brown hair. He looks like a Final Fantasy character.
He does.
He looks like a fucking Final Fantasy character. So, like, we've joked about how many other characters in this franchise look like Fire Emblem characters. This boy's Final Fantasy. He's from another franchise, so you know he's bad news. And he just, like, his only objective in being there is he walks into a room and he smirks a little bit and then he leaves and we don't see him again for several episodes. He's just there for intrigue. But just the first thing you see of him is, like, from the waist down, him walking into the club, and he just his dress pants are so fucking tight.
And that's how you know he's an asshole.
They're, like, vacuum sealed slacks. And I'm like, sir? That was all I could focus on, was how fucking I'm like, how'd he get into those? He must have, like, size 3 feet.
No, they just sew them on him.
They just sew them onto him. It's just fucking, like, they're painted on slacks. They have a little bit of give at the ankle, but that's just about it. And I'm like, where's his dick?
No, here's the thing, sorry you don't know, is that he actually has sticks for legs, and they're really loose pants.
Oh, no. Oh, well, no, that's perfect, because that means I could snap him like a twig.
Hey.
Break his legs, kill a man, break his legs.
Kill a man, break his legs.
Yeah. He deserves it. He's a fucko. We don't learn why until later, though.
Yes. And there is a fourth member we meet later, and it's Rin from the Anime Free.
Oh my god, that is who he is. I'm like, who does this fucker remind me of? And it's Rin from the Anime Free. He just doesn't... Well, he does have sharp teeth,
He has sharp
He doesn't
teeth.
have sharp... He's Rin's son. Because he only has a couple of sharp teeth.
You're right. He only has 2
Sarah and
fingers.
I were very into swimming anime in college.
Were.
Okay, fair. I kind of dropped out of the fandom a little bit, but Makoto is my husband, Rei is my son.
Raise your hand if you're surprised, fans.
Shut up! First of all, I will fucking destroy you!
Episode 2 of IDOLiSH7 Third Beat Part 1.
2! Lead us in, Soro.
So where we left off is that Yamato was talking about this Chibo Salon thing. Nagi and Mitsu both overheard it, but now we're in episode 2, and Yamato is not opening his mouth and not telling them anything about it, even though they know something's up.
He's like, nope, let me be mysterious and keep my secrets. You don't want to know, let me be an edgy boy, bye.
Yes. So he leaves. The other two are like, well, this is frustrating. Like, I thought we were friends, so...
And he's not telling us all of his deep, dark secrets. What the fuck, Yamato?
And so Yamato continues with his broody self, and he goes to the movie set. That last season, it was said that he turned down this movie to be with Yuki, but then he decided to do the movie, and now it's time to film the movie.
Yep, and in the movie, he is a serial killer character, which is great because we get to see him being evil.
Yes, which we know he's good at acting because of last season.
Yep. But yeah, so he is having trouble with, like, this big climactic scene, and the director is like, well, you know, this other guy who I know is your dad, but I'm not going to say is your dad because it might embarrass you, but, like, you know, he did a really good job in this other movie, so you should do it like that. And Yamato's just like, okay.
Yeah.
And he's just like, great, thanks, director, cool.
The director also adds more tension by talking to Yuki, like, while they're on break, and is like, oh, yeah, Yuki, you're doing really good. It's a good thing you're good at acting and so talented because, you know, people come and go, but you have your own thing going, so when Momo leaves you, you'll be fine. Yeah,
and it's just like, director! Shut the fuck up, maybe!
Yeah.
It's like, damn, way to like, Yuki kind of has the reputation among the main cast of being the guy who just kind of says shit to rile other people up. But I think the director is fucking worse, and he gets far less screen time.
Yep.
He's just there to stir up shit, apparently.
But during this break, and after Yamato has this whole, like, wow, I'm thinking about my dad now, Yamato starts talking to one of his other co-stars, which is one of the bad boys, the princely one.
He is the goodest of the bad boys. He's not, like, outwardly bad, but he's just, like, he's, like, a little bit sneaky and kind of just, like, judgy.
That's fair.
But he composes himself very well.
Yes, he seems like a good boy, even though he's a bad boy.
Those are always the worst ones, too.
Two-faced.
Fucking Gemini. And I'm allowed to say that because I'm a Gemini, okay? I'm gonna look this up. If he's a fucking Gemini, I'm gonna laugh.
And he kind of immediately, like, hints and pretty much lets the cat out of the bag that,
Sarah,
he's a Gemini. You can tell your own star.
I can sniff him out a mile away. Oh, I love that shit. Welcome to the club, buddy. Hey.
So he kind of basically lets the cat out of the bag that it's like, yeah, everyone from Hoshikage, which I guess at this point he's part of the big Hoshikage, but also so is Yamato's dad. All of them know about Yamato and the Chiba Salon, child. Whatever the hell the Chiba Salon is, because we don't know at this point. And it's a good thing that he has his dad, and his dad has the Chiba Salon, because when IDOLiSH7 fails, at least you'll still have your acting career, bud.
Just boom, bam, pow! Just no rest for Yamato this season. We're like 5 minutes into episode 2, and he just keeps getting boom, boom, damn!
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm still worked up and laughing about how I clocked Minami as a fucking Gemini, and he is!
Recognize your own.
Her self-recognized self, what's up, bud?
Star's a Gemini because she has her normal self, and then her alter ego is her VTuber.
Oi, listen. No, my alter ego is that I keep all my anger deep down inside me, and then sometimes I just get really pissed off, but I do it when nobody else is around, and I just use it to sing angry songs in my car when I'm alone.
And sometimes you strangle a man.
And sometimes I kill a man, but we don't have to talk about that on the podcast, Sarah.
No, we'll talk about other strangling later.
Oh, shit, you're right. Oh, boy, this episode is a lot. It's already a lot, and we haven't been here that
Soap
long.
opera.
Wait, it's been 45 minutes. Oh, my God.
Yeah, but we spent most of it talking about all of these boys.
Oh, there's so many of them. Anyway, moving on. So, we introduce a very minor character, named Sumire, and she is an actor. She's a singer slash idol who works for Tsukumo, the bad guy producers. And Iori and Riku kind of meet her, like, kind of backstage in an event, and she's just, like, real tired, and they talk to her, and apparently it comes out, like, she's just been worked hard, like, really hard by her managers and people. She feels like she can't really talk to them, and Riku's like, well, why don't you join our agency? And Iori's like, shut the fuck up. Do you realize how much drama that would cause? And he's like, but I'm a good boy, and I just want to help.
Yes, and Iori kind of gets into the fact that sniping or getting actors from one agency to the other causes a lot of drama and might be enough to, like, even make it so that their agency goes down.
Put a pin in that.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally not foreshadowing.
But just to drill in the foreshadowing, which we've already kind of been doing, Kujo shows the fuck up from nowhere.
Yep, he's just fucking there. And I'm pretty sure this is the only scene he's in the... No, he has, like, one more scene in, like, 6 more episodes. Yes. But he just fucking shows up to kind of mock Iori, basically. Mm-hmm. Because, like, Iori left something backstage, he goes back to get it, and it turns out, like, just Kujo is just fucking there. And he's reading through, like, Iori's producer's notes. And Kujo's just like, hey, here's that small child. I'm gonna be a bitch at him.
Mm-hmm. And by being a bitch, he's pretty much like, well, what will you do when IDOLiSH7 goes out like a spark? And you're like, okay, you guys are really drilling in the whole, like...
Death of I-7 thing.
Yeah. Like, we can see where the season's going, guys. You could tone down a little bit.
I don't think Kujo knows how to tone down fucking anything.
I don't know. He seemed pretty toned down by the end of the season.
True.
Yep. He just lost his spark because there's a new bad guy in town.
New bad guy in town. Later not Henry Fire Emblem. What the fuck? Hubert Fire Emblem.
Speaking of new bad guy in town, Momo's hanging out with him.
Just to, like, Momo just tries to make nice really hard with this dude, because there was, like, a whole thing about how kind of, Yuki makes nice with Hoshikage people, and Momo makes nice with Tsukumo people, so that neither of them will try to steal, Revale from the other, like, will try to snipe Revale. Mm-hmm. It's a delicate balancing act that unfortunately involves Momo hanging out with the biggest psycho ever, aka Rio.
And
fucking sucks.
The conversation pretty much goes like, oh, hey, Momo, by the way, I'm going to be the president soon. I'm going to take over Revale, and if you want it so Yuki doesn't have a horrible time while he's in Revale, I need you to expose the Chiba Salon.
Yeah, specifically, I need you to find... does he mention Yamato here? I forget.
I think he does.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does, but I forgot to write it in my notes. He's like, hey, Yamato's got dirt. If you get me a recorded confession from him about the Chiba Salon, I'll let you guys off the hook and be chill to you once I take over this agency. Mm-hmm. And Momo's like, no, fuck. I have to betray some of my boys to protect my main boy. Mm-hmm. Oh, no. But Momo's a good boy!
Mm-hmm. Also, just very briefly, it's something that becomes important later. We didn't mention in the first episode, but Momo has started this thing with all but these other idols where they just exercise together. It's an athletic club. Mm-hmm. That's something that's important later. Not important right now.
That was important in the first episode, and I think we forgot to bring it up.
Yes.
A lot of dominoes!
Yes.
Just setting them up till we can knock them down.
And at the end of the episode, Yamato is continuing to have a bad time.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna have a bad time.
And he's just kind of brooding, and Iori walks in, and he's like, hey, Iori, if I was to cause the downfall of IDOLiSH7, would you want me to leave?
And Iori's like, well, first of all, don't joke about that, because that's a shitty thing to joke about. But also, if you did cause drama, I'd kick your ass out. Mm-hmm. So don't joke about that shit. Mm-hmm. And then Yamato basically says, I've always regretted auditioning for the sake of revenge. Yeah. And it's like, because that was his thing in, like, the very first episode. Is like, he almost didn't audition because he's like, all I really wanted out of this was revenge. And then you're just kind of like, what the fuck does that mean?
What do you mean?
And now we're gonna find out. We kind of already know, but now we're gonna find out for realsies, though.
Episode 3, you get one of the few performances this season.
Yeah, there's not a lot of idling in this show this season.
It's more drama. It's called Sakura Message. It's pretty ballady. It's cute.
Yeah.
It sounds very IDOLiSH7 in the way that the songs sound IDOLiSH7. So like a lot of solos with cut-ins and duets. It's cute.
Yeah. There's a, like, kind of a lingering planning meeting that goes on maybe a little bit too long about something that's not going to come up again this season. Their manager is, like, they're talking about, like, their TV show, and they're like, well, why don't we try something new? And Yamato suggests, well, why don't we do some kind of competition where we pit all of us against each other? Because he's being an edgelord, right? And he's just like, well, what if we do something that's going to pit all of us against each other? And all the boys kind of spin it like, yeah, let's do that. But then we show that we're actually still all cool with each other because that's our bonds as idols and teammates is that strong. And Yamato's just like, yeah, like that. And this really isn't going to come up again. They decide to, like, try to all learn brass instruments and be in a brass band, and it doesn't really come up again.
And then later, we get a scene of Riku, and he is walking home from, I assume, like, the Konbini or something, and he runs into Rin from Free. And Rin from Free is crying outside, and you don't know why he's crying.
And then, like, Riku tries to cheer him up, and then the guy looks up, and he's like, hey, you're Riku from IDOLiSH7. You suck!
And he starts storming off, but, like, as he's storming off, some other dudes, like, bump into Riku and, like, just walk off and laugh and don't apologize. But apparently it's, like, the guys have really bad cologne, and they knock Riku over, and Riku starts coughing.
And then, like, Rin from Free isn't a total asshole. He's just like, he's kind of an Ariana, actually, is honestly what I thought when I was...
He's like season 1 Rin from Free.
No, you know what? That too. Yeah, I was trying to promo my webcomic, but right. Sure, let's bring it back to the anime, Sarah. Castoff-comic.com.
Or watch Free. It's the same thing.
Or watch Free. Thank you, Sarah, for... I love it when my characters are compared to anime characters, but I guess I started it. Where he's like, he's a dick, but he's not gonna just, like, leave Riku to sit there and cough. And so he's like, come on, I'll take you somewhere where you can get water and take your fucking meds. And then Riku's just such a good fucking boy. He's like, well, why do you hate IDOLiSH7 and also Trigger? Because he mentioned that earlier. And then this guy, you learn his name is Toma. He's like, well, the thing about you guys is that I think they lost to Trigger in the Black or White Awards, like, a few years ago. And because of that, the band or group he's in broke up. And so he's like, we were better at dancing and we had better music than both of you, but both of you guys are all more successful than us just because you're able to market yourselves more, and it fucking sucks. And it's not about skill, it's just about popularity. That's how people get success.
It's like, that's the industry, baby.
That's show business, baby.
That's show business.
But yeah, and then he just fucking leaves and put a pin in him because he's gonna come back later.
Yeah. And then we also get, like, a little cut-in of Trigger, and they're all talking, and there's, like, some drama about, like, Ryo trying to get his brother to talk to him, but the main thing that comes out of this is Ryo is like, I wish my image wasn't to be the sexy guy, but then, like, the president comes in and is like, hey, you gotta be more sexy. I'm gonna take you to somebody who's a ladies' man to teach you how to flirt good.
And it's like, oh, my boy. My poor son doesn't want to be sexy. It's not his fault that he has fucking rippling pecs. I love him so much.
Or good himbo doesn't know how to flirt, so he has to talk to a bad guy later.
The first half of that sentence sounds exactly like a fucking light novel. The hottest boy in school doesn't know how to flirt.
Yep.
Sounds like a fucking light novel. And so it is an isekai because of course it is.
Oh, yes, sure. I can agree with this. So back to Yamato time. He still is struggling at filming, and he starts talking to Yuki, and they kind of go into this whole thing about, like, his hidden anger and how he doesn't know how to channel his emotions correctly.
And Yamato just, like, needs approval, and it's a whole thing. it's gonna come up later in more detail. I think at the end of this end of episode 4 is when it comes up. Because we have to get some other drama out first.
Yes. So their tension is rising also.
So we get the scene where Trigger Boss Man takes good boy Himbo Ryunosuke to meet the quote-unquote real version of his persona, and it's Tight Pants!
What an asshole!
What an asshole! His pants are so tight you might be...
you might be able to see it, yeah.
Yeah! But he's sitting down, thankfully.
He's just so mean because he has a wedgie.
Yeah, if he's got tight pants, and I dropped the tight pants gif in the Discord, and I don't think anyone knew what it was except for you and me, and that's very disappointing.
Incredible.
I was already wearing tight pants. I just did not activate them. Welcome to our podcast. If you are unfamiliar with the video Tight Pants by YouTube user Sarah, what's her name? Leslie something?
Oh, I don't remember. Leslie something.
Yeah, I need you to go on YouTube and just Google search Tight Pants, and I'm pretty sure it's the first episode, or it's the first video that's gonna show up. It's like a kind of like chubby woman in like this green latex bodysuit dancing around.
It's magnificent.
And you just, it defined our college experience. You watched it so much, Sarah. You watched that fucking video so often.
And the song is actually about this iDOL7 boy.
Which is weird because the song came out in like 2011 or even earlier than that.
It knew.
But she was prophesizing the future. Which is fucking great. So anyway, we meet this playboy and his name is Torao, I think. But I'm just going to call him Tight Pants for the entire season because he's a Final Fantasy character and I don't give a shit about his ass or his asshole that is very visible behind his tight pants. He's probably not even wearing underwear. I don't know how he'd fit it in there with his tight-ass pants. Anyway, so he's immediately a douchebag.
Yep, horrible.
He's a fuckboy is what I wrote in my notes because he is. He basically accuses Ryunosuke of lying about his personality to make fans like him, which to a degree he kind of is, but only because his management is kind of forcing him to.
And I don't think anyone's really buying into that because, when things come out later, everyone's like, oh, that's so upsetting.
Yeah, I mean, he's on, like, all the sexy commercials, and everyone talks about how he's, like, one of the sexiest men alive, and then he goes and watches his own commercials, and he's like, I don't know what sexy means.
Yeah.
He's just so... I love him. Just good boy, small brain.
Small brain.
Heart of gold, dumb of ass, loose of pants.
And this conversation pretty much is just one guy being mean and Ryu being like, but I'm not trying to lie to anyone.
No, Ryunosuke is just buffeting this guy's every advance on him by being just the goodest boy.
But at some point at the end, Hotelier Tight Pants Man is like, hey, there's this other idol in my agency that's having trouble, and because you're such a good guy, maybe you can help her out.
And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll help her out. And we're gonna put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Also, there's something, like, towards the end of this conversation where Torao asks, like, hey, what would you do if I told you I recorded this conversation and I want to sell it to the press? And Ryunosuke's like, you wouldn't do that. You're too nice. And I just wrote in my notes, something tells me he is not nice, actually. Nope. He has red eyes, Ryunosuke. Do not trust this fuckboy
red
in
eyes
tight
and
pants.
tight pants. And then after Ryu leaves, Tight Pants Man picks up his phone and is like, yeah, I just talked to him. He didn't seem like a leader of a modern Chiba salon to me.
There's a Chiba salon again! What the fuck is that? Anyways,
back at the IDOLiSH7 dorm. Things are going great.
Speaking of the Chiba salon, Mitsuki finally asks Yamato what the fuck the Chiba salon is. And Yamato's like, I don't want to talk about it. And Mitsuki's like, fuck you, talk about it. And eventually it just leads into just... Yamato's just kind of being a dick about it. Like, he kind of has every right to not tell them his darkest secret, But at the same time, he's just kind of being a bitch about it.
Yeah, because he's kind of like, well, I don't need to tell you, we're not that close. And then
Mitsuki just fucking punches him, and I'm like, yeah, he kind of deserved that.
Yeah. So that kind of is where everything escalates, and all the other guys start running in, being like, hey, calm it down. But at this point, Yamato's like, hey, I'm leaving the dorm for now. I'm going to sleep somewhere else. And then Mitsuki's like, no, I'm going to sleep somewhere else. And they both kind of just leave.
And Iori's like, my brother's leaving and I shouldn't leave him alone, so I'm going to go with him. Bye.
Yes.
So just very suddenly, 3 of the 7 boys have moved out of the IDOLiSH7 dorm.
And the episode ends with Nagi crying. And you're like, oh no.
Oh, my fucking heart shattered.
Not the happy boy.
I've mentioned this so many fucking times. I did not like Nagi when he first showed up, but he definitely deserves the award for character that grew on me the most. He's a complex character, but he really is just kind of the ball of sunshine his hair suggests that he is. And he just cries at the end of this episode over this fight, and my heart just shatters for this poor boy. And he's just like, I didn't want this to happen here too. And I'm like, no! Nagi, my boy! I just wanted to hug him. Oh, my boy.
Episode 4, there's a little bit before the opening with Mitsuki and Iori, and they're just talking outside at night about, like, what happened, kind of. And about how Mitsuki, like, only started getting upset because he actually cares about Yamato and wanted him to open up to him like he opened up to Yamato last season. And then, honk honk, who's this? It's Momo.
It's the Momo-mobile.
The Momo-mobile rolls up.
Brant, Brant, what's up? Y'all get in my car.
Hey. And then we get the opening. We're on episode 4, and we finally
get the opening, and it's very happy right in the middle of all this drama.
It's like happy and fresh, and it's all the boys just like playing together on the beach and doing jump rope, and you're like,
yeah, just playing and being cute and sweet and just like hanging out in these comfy clothes, and then we immediately cut back to fucking drama, and I'm like, oy.
So tell us about the drama, Star.
Okay, well, first we get a very brief flashback, because there are several flashbacks in this season. So we got a hint of this in the previous season, I believe. So Yuki, Reveal's Yuki, when he first debuted with the original Reveal, he kind of sucked up to Yamato's dad. At first I thought that, like, he actually worked for Yamato's dad, but I guess he just was kind of just... Yamato's dad just called him one day and said, hey, come wash my car, and Yuki was like, okay, because he, like, wanted to stay in Yamato's dad's good graces, and Yamato was not impressed by this. He's like, why are you fucking sucking up to my dad, you punk, whatever. And then, we leave that. So present day, present time, Yamato is back at the film shoot, and he's getting his punch in the face bruise covered up with makeup, and the makeup lady's just like, what the fuck happened? And Yamato's like, don't worry about it. He's like, don't worry about it. And then Yuki's like, hey, heard you had a little incident last night. You want to stay at my place? And Yamato's like, no. And Yuki's like, come stay at my fucking house. And and Yamato's like, fine. Talks him into it.
So that night, Momo, Iori, and Mitsuki are at Momo's house, and Yuki and Yamato are at Yamato's house, which leaves the other 4 boys in the dorm without the other 3.
Yeah, so just to keep your heads on straight, the M boys are together and the Y boys are together, and it's gonna get confusing.
Yes.
The M boys and then Iori.
Yes. And so we get some, like, just dorm time with the 4 of them, just, you know, goofy things.
None of them can cook.
Nope. Or Sogo can cook, but he likes the spice.
He loves spicy and no one else does. And so they're like, how do we get him to stop making everything spicy? And the answer is you don't.
There's also a little thing dropped about how Nagi told the president and manager to start, like, buffing up the security around the house for mysterious reasons.
Do-do-do-do. And he says he has a stalker, and this has never been brought up or mentioned before. He's just suddenly talking about, oh yeah, I've got a stalker, don't worry about it.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, okay, that's a hell of a thing to drop.
Yep.
But okay.
And then also Riku, because he's a good boy, is like, hey, I'll just call Iori and I'll get everything sorted and everyone can be happy again. So he calls...
And he fucks it up.
He fucks it up so bad. Because he's like, Iori, you want to come home? And, like, Iori's like, I gotta help my brother. And then Riku's like, well, I thought that you cared about us and wanted us to all be happy. And then, like, it kind of gets into the whole, Iori, you don't want to be home because you don't love me enough.
And it just, oof.
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 Can I get a oof in the chat? And he just basically makes it worse, and then he hangs up, but he's just like, I fucked that up so bad.
Yeah.
And it just kind of drives home the point that, like, this solution will not be provided by an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be the boys. They gotta solve it themselves. Which is good, because, like, I was ruminating on this, this whole conflict, earlier today, and, I like the fact that these characters, like, spoilers, but whatever. I like the fact that these characters got into a fight, and they are the ones who resolve it just kind of by themselves eventually. I like that they grew enough as characters to eventually, like, trust each other with this, and, like, I like that the bond is kind of brought back, not necessarily, like, they kind of get their, like, little pep talks from the other characters, but they come to Yamato specifically comes to the decision himself when the time comes.
Yep.
And I thought that, like, there's no right answer to this type of conflict because people are human, and there's no correct answer to how do you deal with someone who doesn't feel like he can trust people. It's good writing. It makes me scream, but it is very realistic, very human. I feel like I've been on both sides of this fight in my life at various times in my life, and it's very good. And I love how it resolves to some degree.
Yes,
we'll get there,
but not yet because there's some more stuff. There's some shit that happens.
Yes, several things.
There's a short insert scene of Momo, Mitsuki, and Iori at Momo's house, and it's just kind of, well, Momo's like, hey, don't get too close to the window. They look out, and there's a bunch of paparazzi, and it's just like, hey, there's paparazzi, and they're watching us all the time because Reveal's the most popular idol group right now, and you gotta get used to it because they're always taking pictures.
Yep. And so he's like, wave to the cameras, everybody! And Mitsuki's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yep.
Get smaller windows, maybe, because his freaking apartment wall is just, like, all windows. I'm like, you couldn't have gotten an apartment on a higher floor, maybe?
Yeah.
If you're that famous, I feel like you should have been able to get something, like, at least, like, a little bit more paparazzi-proof.
And then we cut to the interaction that is the most dramatic.
Oh, God, yes. Like, oof, this was a lot. This was hard to watch.
So, Yamato is staying with Yuki instead of at the dorms. And everything seems like they're having a nice domestic time, just cooking dinner, talking casually about the shoot.
But of course, they're going to clash because these two personalities do not get along very well.
No, the teeth come out on both sides. And
Yamato basically says, like, I want to contribute to the success of i7 by making this movie a success before my secret about the Chiba Salon gets out and it kind of ruins everything. And I'm inevitably going to be forced out of the group. Yuki says, is like, you shouldn't worry about that. You remind me a lot of your dad about like that, actually. Yamato's like, my dad's a fucking scumbag. Shut the fuck up. Never compare me to my dad. And Yuki drops just the biggest punch in the gut I've ever seen in anime before. And, like, the summary is, you want people to love you, but you won't put in the effort to actually get people to like you. So you expect people to love the work you do instead. But that's not going to satisfy you. If you want people to like you, you actually have to be, like, you have to put in that effort and be a likable person. And it's just like, ow! first of all, oofs in the chat, capital F oofs in the chat.
Yes, and it also is something that is important to know, is people can love your work, but that doesn't mean they love you. And just because people love someone doesn't mean, or that's because people love someone's work doesn't mean the actual person behind it is someone worth being loved.
Yeah, definitely. That's a whole, like, separation of art and the artist is like, well, this guy wrote this song that I like, but he's an asshole. Do I still get to like the song? And there's, like, a whole debate you could go into for that. I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's no right answer, and each person kind of has to come up with it their own way. And this is also kind of something that I've not struggled with, but just that I've thought about a lot as an artist. Because, like, I am an artist who makes a lot of different things. I'm going to focus on my webcomic because that is my biggest thing. And like, my whole thing is I want people to like and read my comic because they like my comic. I don't want them to, like, people, like, my real life friends, I will never be upset with, like, a real life friend if they tell me they don't read my webcomic, because everybody has different tastes and not everybody's gonna like it.
Or if they compare your webcomic character to Rin from Free.
Or if they compare, I can't be mad about that, because Sarah is one of my closest and dearest friends, even though I do want to punch her sometimes. He's like my least favorite character, Sarah. You monster. Anyway. But yeah, so like, I will never be upset when people tell me, I am your friend, but I don't read your webcomic. And I feel like whenever, like, I'm talking about my webcomic with my friends, I always preface, if I'm not sure, I'm like, hey, have you read my webcomic? Are you up to date? They always apologize. And they're like, no, I haven't. I'm so sorry. I mean to. I'm like, I don't care. You don't have to like my work just because you like me. I would love it if you did, but you don't have to. And, like, by extension, like, I want people to like me because they like me. And I want people to like my comic because they like my comic. I don't want people to just read my comic and feel obligated to read my comic because they like me as a person, you know? This is a thought that I have had many, many times. And so this conversation was very ouchy to me.
And then Star and Yamato together raise their hands.
No! And we strangle Yuki together. No.
Yep, Yuki dies. F in the chat for Yuki. He's dead now.
F in the chat for Yuki because Yamato literally fucking chokes him out.
Yep.
While having a mental breakdown of just, like, almost crying and being like, why are you so fucking mean to me?
Yep.
Please don't say things like that to me. I'm already going through it, bro, and you're making it worse. While choking Yuki out so he literally can't respond.
So Yuki dies. Episode
I'm crying. I'm laughing because it hurts.
Episode 5, Yuki is dead.
And we get Yuki 2.
Just like Hanako Bot 2.0.
2.0. This is YukiBot 2.0, who has a titanium throat and cannot be choked by human hands.
So the next morning, they're kind of just both pretending like nothing happened. So.
But no, Sarah, it's so fucking funny because, like, Yamato just wakes up and he's on the floor of Yuki's living room and he's like, wow, I don't remember falling asleep. And so in my head, I'm like, did Yuki just fucking punch his lights out?
I mean,
did he just like self-defense, just give him a good old, like, Vulcan nerve pinch or something? And Yamato's like, wow, that was a crazy dream. And we see Yuki in the background kind of, like, rubbing his throat, and he's like, yeah, you keep telling yourself that, dude.
Yeah.
And, later at a film shoot, he has to get it covered up with makeup, and the poor makeup artist is just like, what is going on with y'all? And Yuki's like, don't worry about it.
Oh no, Yuki's like, yeah, life is hard. Like, one day your partner can't sing, the next day someone gets choked out. And you're like, okay.
It's like, fucking Yuki,
That's
man.
not normal.
That's not normal, Yuki. But he just says things sometimes, and I like him.
And then IDOLiSH7 boys have to get together because they have to record their variety show, Lovely Night with You.
And it's so awkward.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch because the boys are fighting still.
And they fight in a very Japanese way, for lack of a better word. Like,
and you're allowed to say that because
I can allowed to say that because I've lived with it. Because this is the way my parents and grandma are, or my dad and grandma.
Oh no, really?
When they fight, yeah.
Oh no.
They're nice to you, but the things they're saying are very much like stabbing you.
It's very passive aggressive is
Yes.
what I took from this conversation.
It's extremely passive aggressive. Like, it's just very casual talk about like, what did you have for dinner? And then Yamato's like, I ate alone, which is great. I love eating alone. And
it's like, really? Well, you should come and cook with all of us next time.
Yeah.
And like everyone notices, like some of the fans later comment and it's like, yeah, I couldn't watch that episode. It was hard to watch.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, oof.
And continuing this tension, as Yamato's leaving the building, he ends up in the elevator with Momo.
And my heart rate fucking skyrockets.
Please don't murder Momo.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's like, because we know that Momo, like, well, or we assume that Momo is going to try and get, like, a confession about the Chiba Salon out of Yamato, and now they're alone together, and I'm like, Momo's a good boy, right? Momo's a good boy, right? Momo's a good boy, right? Momo's a good boy, right?
And he is a good boy. Spoilers, he's a good boy.
He's a good boy, but just this whole scene, I was just, like, on the edge of my seat, laying in bed, watching my iPad, but just like, Yuki, or not Yuki, Momo.
Don't be
Momo.
a bad boy.
Hey, Momo. Hey, Momo. What are you doing here, bud? Hey!
The conversation does not go about the Chiba Salon at all. Instead, Momo asks Yamato, like, hey, are you okay?
You good, bro? You good?
And Yamato, in turn, just goes off at Momo, like, just starts digging into him about everything.
Yeah, he is just like, hey, well, you suck! And Momo's like, that's not a nice thing to say. And Yamato's like, no, you're right, it's not a nice thing to say! Why do I fucking suck so much?
Yeah.
And so Momo's just such a good boy, he ends up getting Yamato to open up more.
Just a little bit.
Just a little, yeah. And Yamato's like, I regret how I've been such an asshole, but I don't, and I regret how much I've acted, but I don't know how to recover from this. And Momo's just like, you just need to be nicer to yourself, dude. You're being way too hard on yourself. Just self-love, you know, bud? By the way, get in my car. And then my heart rate goes back up.
Yeah, but there's nothing bad that happens.
It bait and switches you, because it really makes you want to think that Momo's gonna betray him, but
Momo's a good boy, at least right now.
Momo's a good boy. Momo's a good boy, and I love him. He's a very good boy. We get a lot of Momo this season. He's very good.
So Yamato is actually taken to the film set because he has work. And this time he goes on break and he talks to Yuki, but like actually talks to him, not just passive aggressively talks at him.
Yeah, and so like he actually finally like says he's just ashamed of himself because he joined the entertainment industry specifically to cause issues for his dad, but all of the other members of IDOLiSH7 are just trying so hard because they want to be idols and that's their dream. And Yamato realized like immediately, he's like, man, I'm an asshole. What am I doing here? And Yuki's like, you should just be honest with them. And so Yamato, like, finally sucks it up, and he calls Mitsuki, and they said, it's like, hey, you want to go home? And Mitsuki's like, yeah.
There's
boys.
Also a very short insert scene, which I only bring up just because it makes stuff later make sense, where Yuki and Bonri are having a talk. If you remember, Bonri, IDOLiSH7's, I guess, one of their two managers now, because he got, what's it called, promoted? He used to be in Revale with Yuki before Momo. We kind of talked about that last season. We'll talk about it again in an episode or two. But Yuki brings up to Bonri, like, hey, this director said that just everyone leaves me because I'm like this lone wolf type. And, like, do you think that Yuki will leave me? And, like, you left me because you hate me, right? But Bonri's like, no, I support you and I support you and Momo and you guys are great together and it's all good.
Bonri is just a pure soul.
Yes.
Good boy.
He's a good boy.
Except I feel weird calling him a good boy. He feels like all the other boys have good boy energy. Bonri's a working professional. He feels like a good man to me. I don't know why.
What was
the difference there is.
Inside him, we had that there's dads, boys, and teens. He's a dad.
He's a dad. He is a dad. Which kind of makes Yuki a dad by proxy, but Yuki's more of like a weird uncle.
Yeah.
Yuki and Momo are the weird uncles.
Yeah.
And because they are a married couple, we've established this.
I mean, they even establish it.
They establish it immediately. Like, they paint each other's nails and they talk about boys. They love each other.
And speaking of Momo, end of episode, I imagine that Star was like, oh no.
Oh no. Yeah, there's like a really brief scene with a Trigger concert. Ryu is leaning way into the sexy man gig now. And then we cut to like the boss's office and Momo pops in. He's like, hey boss, I got a real interesting story for you and I'll sell it to you for cheap. And I'm like, Momo, you didn't. You didn't, Momo. No!
Episode 6 continues with Momo's espionage because now Momo is back and talking to Ryo, evil
purple hair motherfucker.
Yeah, purple hair motherfucker. And he's like kind of just expositioning about like, hey, are you going to get us that Chiba salon information? And are you going to sell out Yamamoto? And Momo's like, I'm working on it. Or sell out Yamato, and Momo's like, I'm working on it.
I'm working on it. But then Yuki overhears. And he's like, yo, what the fuck are you guys talking about? And then Momo's like, quick, we have to fake a fight. And so, like, they just start fighting with each other. And then Ryo's like, oh, well, you guys are fighting, so I'm gonna leave. And then as soon as he leaves, Momo's like, okay, cool, he's gone. I'm not gonna sell out the I-7 boys. I just needed to get him off my ass.
Yeah. And Momo kind of describes what's going on, that he suggests that Ryo is trying to like oust all of these idols, and it seems like he has some bigwigs on his side, and so Momo's trying to get closer to Ryo so he can figure out like who the fuck are their enemies.
And so like kind of try and work them back over to the good side, right?
He also specifically says that Ryo has an ally in Yamato's dad's wife. Not Yamato's mom, but Yamato's dad's wife. So that's adding to the drama there.
Yep. I missed that, so I'm glad that you wrote it down.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's like Momo is just doing like serious espionage. I wrote in my notes, Momo is a good boy after all, thank goodness.
Yes.
Because like, especially after the last episode, I was just like, Momo,
please.
Momo, what are you doing? Momo, no, Momo.
Momo, drop it. Drop it.
I don't want to think that you're not a good boy after all. And anyway, speaking of boys,
it's time for the confession.
It is time for Yamato's confessional.
So tell us what the Chiba Salon is, Star.
Well, Sarah, I'm gonna be honest. I watched this scene like twice. I don't get what the big deal is.
Yeah. So my understanding.
Okay, so I'm not alone, right?
Well, I think this might go a little bit more into Japanese work culture. I don't know enough about, but I could see it being related.
Because, like, they build it up to be such this big fucking thing, and what it turns out the Chiba Salon is just people would just get together. Like, in all these industry professionals, they would just, like, get together and they make it sound like a networking event.
Yeah, though, I guess some of the things they talked about is, like,
evil!
Yeah, well, they talked about how they use, like, people's, like, industry secrets or, like, stuff they found out about other people to manipulate, like, the course of the entertainment industry.
And that sucks, but just, like, the vibe, like, they were describing it like some sinister thing, but in my brain, I'm just like, this just feels like a networking event.
Well,
they talk about how they just get together and they just strengthen the bonds between each other.
Well, I think the thing that I took from it is it kind of felt like it's supposed to be like an actors union. And that's where I'm like, I don't know how the Japanese entertainment industry works. Like, here in the United States, if you're an actor, most actors are unionized, and actually there is a lot of drama between union and non-union actors just because of how they affect the industry, and I'm wondering if it's something similar there.
Yeah, I don't know enough about I chalked me not getting this scene up to just me not knowing enough about how the entertainment industry works, Japanese or otherwise. It's just like, this is probably a bigger deal than my brain is making it out to be, but like I watched this scene like twice and I'm like, I don't get what the big deal is. I don't understand. Because, like, they build it up the entire first half of the season. Like, this is something that could destroy the entertainment industry if news about it ever got out. Like, it would be, like, this enormous scandal. And I'm just like, they're just hanging out.
Yeah, I think it does have to do more with the idea of it being an unofficial union, but again, I don't know well enough how that works. And another thing that is, again, a very Japanese culture thing is the controversy of Yamato being a secret love child. Just because his mom apparently was a random actress, and then his dad's a big actress, and having an affair. If your vision in Japanese entertainment culture, if people know you as being like a very good family man, and then all of a sudden you aren't, and you're an entertainer.
Which is it is established that Yamato's dad is very much that. Yeah, like, he really prides himself on his good guy family image, and nobody knows about his secret son, except apparently everyone knows about his secret son, but no one says anything.
And that has, in real life, ruined people's acting careers. Usually it ruins the woman's acting career, not the secret love child's acting career.
Which fucking sucks.
Yeah. But... Yay!
Yay! Hooray! We're gonna talk more about the politics of just
yay patriarchy
that later. Yay the patriarchy! I love stuff. And I have thoughts that we're gonna get to in like the last episode.
Yes, and that is something that has happened in non-idol, non-anime real life.
Yeah. So anyway, Yamato basically confesses all of this. He talks about it. He's like, so that's what the Chiba salon is. Mm-hmm. And the boys basically the boys are like, wow, that sucks that he kind of treated you like that. Mm-hmm. That he kind of ignored. I guess it just boiled down to, like, he had the mistress had Yamato, but then Yamato got kind of pushed aside because he was the secret love child, and he kind of had to, like, focus on his main family, and so Yamato kind of feels abandoned. And he's like, he sees his dad on TV, and he's like, that's not the man I thought you were. How could you? And just is pissed off at his dad. And I guess just gets over it.
Yep.
I guess he just gets over it because Yep. I'm so mad, Sarah.
This got me angry, too. So, honestly, since season 1, they've been hinting at this whole revenge thing about Yamato confronting his dad and resolving his trauma. And guess what we don't see?
Guess what we don't see happen in the fucking show?
No?
I sure would have loved to see the conversation between Yamato and his dad that they've been leading up to for 3.5 seasons now. Mm-hmm. And they didn't show it to us.
Yep.
We never got to see it. So it cuts from the confessional to the next day at the office, and Yamato is telling Sumugi. Yes. He is telling her how that conversation went, and he's just over it now. Like, all the negative feelings about his dad are just out the window. They kissed and made up off screen, and now everything is fine, and I'm so mad about it.
No, and this feels to me like one of the problems of anime that's based off of a plot of a mobile game, because I feel like in a mobile game, people are like, yeah, I just want to, get to the next song or pull the SSR, right?
Yeah.
Or they only care about the main actors. But for an anime, it's like, hey, we want to see that.
I want to see that, IDOLiSH7. I want to see Tamaki and 10 fight. I want to see Yamato have his fucking dramatic conclusion where he finally hashes things out with his dad. I want to see that, anime. You can't just brush that shit under the rug and expect me to just be okay with it. I want to see that.
Yep.
That's why I'm watching the fucking anime. You're setting all these plot lines up. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm gonna let you go off in a second. I just need a sec. I just need a fucking sec. I need a fucking second because I'm so mad. I'm having a Gemini moment. I'm so fucking pissed off. This season is probably my least favorite season of IDOLiSH7 so far, because it feels like this season just fumbles the ball so fucking hard with so much of this stuff they've been leading up to for seasons. And it felt like the ending of Final Fantasy 15. It's not nearly as bad, because nothing could be as bad as the ending of Final Fantasy 15. But just, they dropped the ball so hard. And it's just, you blink and everything's better, and I'm like, sit in those emotions, please. I was furious that they did not even bother to show us Yamato and his dad. I'm furious about it. That feels like such a fucking betrayal of all of our expectations as an audience.
And it's not even like they didn't have time for it, because there's like some straight up filler episodes that happen after this.
There's the fucking 2-episode thing where it's just the guys hanging out at the beach. They insert a training arc episode into season 3.
Which we could have, instead of seeing that, we could have
seen more of Tamaki's drama. We could have gotten better, if not closure, just more out of that storyline. We could have gotten, like, a whole thing with Yamato and his dad. But instead, we just get the aftermath of it. We skip to the end when everything is okay, and they sit us down and tell us what happened in like 30 seconds instead of actually giving us that payoff. And I am
on top
so
of that,
mad about
Yamato is completely okay.
Like, he's completely okay!
No resolving trauma.
No resolving trauma, and like I feel like the writers walked out of the writers' room high-fiving each other and just being like, "Yeah, we did it." Because like there's even a bit like Yamato a couple episodes got so fucking pissed that he almost killed Yuki because he compared Yamato to his dad. And in this conversation with Tsumugi, Yamato is basically like, "Yeah, he and I have a lot in common. You know, he wasn't really putting in the effort for people to love him. He just wanted people to love him for his work." I'm like, I really wish I could have seen the emotional journey you went on by yourself off screen.
Give us the dad. Like, again, I get that maybe your idol game, you didn't want to hire another voice actor to be the dad, but you have a budget for an anime, guys.
You have a budget for an anime. You could have hired somebody to be the fucking dad.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I am so a couple months ago, I invested in a microphone that automatically lowers my voice volume when I peak the mic. I mostly use it for streaming, but it comes in handy for moments like this on my podcast.
When you're angry.
When I'm having a Gemini moment, apparently.
So after all of that,
after all that shit,
everything's okay. There is
my voice actually hurts right now.
There's a post-episode scene where Yuki is meeting with Rio, and you're like, "Whoa, this is a different pairing than normal." And Rio's like, "Well, strangely enough, a bunch of actors dropped out of my whole trying to expose the Chiba Salon thing, including..."
Wonder how that happened.
"Including Yamato's dad. Did you do this?"
And Yuki's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do shit." A little angel halo appears above his head.
And Rio's like, "Well, you got a surprise coming, honey."
Honey, you got a big storm coming. Oh boy. And the big storm coming is a bunch of dicks.
Episode 7 starts with these boys and the bunch of dicks and this group of
I wrote in my notes, "The shitty boys assemble."
Yep, all the shitty boys are standing outside in the dark, outside the Zero Arena, being like, "Yep, gonna take over soon."
Yep, it's our time. Backstreet's back. All right.
All right. And then we have the opening, and then we are back with our boys. Hold on, there's a lot that, like, random small stuff that goes in that doesn't really have a payoff.
I honestly, like, if the scene was less than a minute, I just didn't put it in my notes.
Yep, that's fair.
So, the next kind of important thing we see is Tight Pants is here. He appears backstage, he talks to Sogo, and he's a bitch at Sogo. He's like, "Oh, well, you know, Sogo, I know your dad, and your dad, he's been real sad ever since you left." He's basically just there to stir up shit.
Also,
he gives me knife cat energy.
Also stirring up shit, angry at 10 blue hair boy happens to be going to the same high school as
green hair,
well, green blue, seafoam green.
Seafoam green. I'll accept seafoam green.
He is going to the same school as Iori and Tamaki, and kind of is just like standoffish, doesn't have any friends, so Iori and Tamaki are like, hey, we'll be your friend. He's like, no, I hate you.
He's like, you guys fucking suck and I hate you. I wrote in my notes, he's a grumpy bitch, green hair dye must be bad for your personality.
At least this season, bad things happen to the greenies.
Oh, no, it is! Bad times with the greenies.
Bad times with the greenies.
Listen, this guy has green hair. He does not get to be in the greenie brigade.
No. It's seafoam green. He's blue-green, so he doesn't count.
Greenie brigade. Listen, I just bought my cats a fresh bag of greenies, okay?
Hey.
They're good for your teeth. If you're a cat, I don't eat them.
Right. Sorry.
I don't.
Meanwhile, Revale is having problems. Momo's upset that Yuki went to talk to Rio, and Yuki's upset that Momo keeps talking to Rio. So now they're fighting.
Mm-hmm. The boys are fighting.
Yep. There's a bunch of weird stuff in the middle.
Yeah, here's a scene that annoyed me. There is an IDOLiSH7 concert. Iori is having a struggle. Because he's like, Riku's so popular. I wish that I could be that popular because he gets all the cheers, but I want those cheers most of all. And I'm like, this is a Cotton Eye Joe moment. Where'd you come from? Where did you go? Because it doesn't really come up again.
Nope. And it's also kind of like, we talked a little bit about this last season. I don't know why you're still bringing it up.
Yeah, it's like, where did this plot point come from? Where did the plot point go? Because it comes up for this one scene and then never comes up again.
Yeah.
Can we just call those Cotton Eye Joe moments from now on?
There are a few Cotton Eye Joe moments. There's another Cotton Eye Joe moment with Mezzo and their record label producer, and the record guy's like, you guys get along so good, you'll be around for at least 10 more years. And you're like, okay.
Uh-huh. Cotton Eye Joe, where did this come from? Where did it go?
But then we go back to Revale being angry at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of Momo storms out like, I'm going to go talk to Rio and I'm going to deal with this myself.
And Momo's like, he fucking sucks. Why do you keep hanging out with him? And Momo's like, I'm just trying to get dirt on his ass.
Mm-hmm.
And if you, like, you could be helping me, but you won't. Mm. And Yuki's like, he's a fucking toxic asshole and you shouldn't be hanging out with him. And Momo's like, I'm doing this for you, kind of, sort of. I don't think he directly says that, but that's very much the implication of it.
So Momo storms out. Yuki kind of just, like, sad texts all of the other boys being like, don't let Momo go.
Yuki! Yuki's, like, calling all the buds in for help, and Banri just texts him back. He's like, you should deal with this yourself, bud. Don't text everybody in the group chat.
And then...
But he doesn't even text the group chat. He texts everyone individually.
Nope, separate messages.
And I'm like, Yuki, you dramatic little motherfucker. You're great, but I love you, but go get your mans.
And then the boys are like, speaking of all of this stuff with Yuki and Momo, Banri, tell us about your story.
So, Banri, tell us about your backstory for 2 episodes.
Which is like, we should have gotten this last season if you wanted to get more depth in it, because it feels like a segue.
Honestly, it does. And so we get the next 2 episodes are literally, it is 2 episodes of Revale backstory.
Which we kind of already got.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so we did already get a lot of this last season. I will argue that this adds some additional context to it that I actually really enjoyed. Like Momo's whole thing, like his kind of backstory with about like him wanting to go pro as a soccer player and then not being like that whole thing that's gonna come up in the next 2 episodes. I really enjoyed that additional context because it shines a light on some of the stuff that I was confused about in the last season. Like, why is Momo so gung-ho about these guys not quitting, Yuki specifically? Why does Yuki even allow Momo into his life? And it kind of answers a lot of those questions that should have been in last season.
It should have been in last season. It doesn't make any sense why they waited to do it, except for the fact that it's a mobile game, and I'm starting to feel like they're just playing out the plot points as they happen in the mobile game instead of rearranging them in a way that makes more sense.
Yeah, it's like, I love you, i7, but I'm starting to kind of see the cracks in the paint here.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like there's a lot of material to work with here. You didn't have to pull directly from the mobile game.
Yes.
Like, this should have been in last season.
So, the Momo thing is that he was playing soccer, he got injured, his sister's like, hey, come to this concert with me so you stop being such a sad motherfucker. Momo goes there and is changed. Meanwhile, Bonri and Yuki, it starts from the beginning. So they meet up. They try to make a band. All of their bandmates quit because Yuki is an asshole. Eventually, Bonri's like, hey, you need to stop being so picky about the music. Why don't we just have a backtrack that we pre-record and we just do idol things on top of it so you could just be in the music instead of thinking about it.
And Yuki's like, K.
So specifically, they work on their big song is a song that Yuki has been working on basically his whole life. And Bonri's like, you just got to finish that song so you stop thinking about it.
Yeah, and for more additional context, this is the song that... So Yuki and Bonri had a mutual friend, and then he was the one who introduced the two of them because Bonri heard the song that Yuki wrote and was like, I want to meet the guy who wrote this. And then they start working together, and that song was a song called Our Incomplete Selves, and that is the song that... Bonri's just like, you gotta finish that song so you stop thinking about it.
Yes.
And so once they finally get in their idol group as opposed to trying to be a band, that's one of their first major songs that they do. He finally finishes it. Momo hears that song, feels like it was written specifically for him, just feels that music so hard that it changes his life, basically.
And we do get to see the song, or at least hear it. So we see the beginning of them singing, and then we hear the rest over the credits. So yes. I think this is the first time we hear Bonri singing.
He's good.
Yeah, good job, Bonri.
I mean, he's a boy in an idol anime. He has to have a good voice. But, I enjoyed it. It was
good job, Bachan.
We're zooming through these episodes, but they are good episodes. They're just shouldn't be in this season. They should have been in the last season.
And again, we get more information, but a whole lot of it is just rehashing stuff we already know.
Yeah, it's just bulking up stuff that we pretty much already knew about. And I'm like, I enjoy the additional context. Should have been in the last season.
Next episode, continuing the backstory.
So, in canon, Bonri is telling this story to the i7 boys, but then Momo is also telling this story to Ryo. And that is actually kind of a plot device that I like and have used in my writing before. It's just two characters kind of telling the story at the same time, so you kind of get their different narratives, both telling the story. Should have been in the last season, but anyway.
Yep. So post one of their concerts, Bonri, this is backstory, Bonri, has a letter, and he's like, oh, hey, this is weird. We got a letter from a boy. We never get letters from boys. Let me read it.
And it's from Momo. He's like, your music helped me move on from my injury, and I paused it to read the subs on the letter, and it basically just said, your music saved my life. And Yuki is reading this and he actually cries about it. And I teared up too. Because I was just like, oh, my boy. Yeah. My sweet boy. He finally has accomplished something with his music. And he later says, he's like, yeah, I kind of thought about quitting the idol thing. Not because I wasn't enjoying it, but just because I didn't feel like it anymore. And that fan letter, realizing that I could inspire people with my music like that, it made me not want to quit anymore. And so it's just a reveal so fucking good.
Yeah. And then Bonri also says that from that point, Yuki actually started working harder and started writing more songs. But meanwhile, while Yuki was getting more into the idol thing, Bonri was getting more and more I like the logistical side of things.
Yep. And then Momo kind of starts, not intentionally, but he starts showing up their shows more. He starts kind of wiggling his way into their good graces. Again, not intentionally. That makes it sound insincere. He comes to their shows a lot. He defends them when a bunch of hooligans try to get on stage in the middle of a show. And, they recognize him as the person who wrote them the fan letter, and so Bonri's like, here, you give me your contact info so we can text later, and Momo's like, and it's so fucking cute, this bit. He's just so starstruck. It's adorable.
Yes, and then it gets to the point where they're familiar enough with Momo where he's, actually working backstage at the concerts. So he moves from a fan to like part of the staff almost.
He's a good boy. But yeah, and then stuff starts happening. Cujo tries to recruit them. They say no. The accident happens. Bonri jumps in to push Yuki out of the way of a falling stage light.
And that's where he becomes horribly disfigured.
Except that he doesn't, and he's still a pretty anime boy.
Who looks the same.
He looks pretty much the same, yeah. Like, they didn't even give him a cool scar.
No.
Like, I'm kind of disappointed, honestly. But then again, I had something like this happen, and the only scar from it is underneath my hair, so...
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. He probably just well, because what happened to me was I was in a terrible piñata accident. You can put the pieces together. And now I have just nerve damage on this one part of my scalp where I can activate the ASMR tinglies just by touching it.
Oh, how nice.
That's probably not healthy, but I like to think that somewhere out there Bonri just sits in his office and he just like gives himself the ASMR tinglies when he's bored. You just touch it because you have nerve damage in that one part of your head. It is just like, yay.
Yay. I guess.
So that's my little Bonri headcanon.
Headcanon.
Oh, shit. We've done it. We've done it.
And then we get the whole Momo convincing Yuki not to quit idols, become idol.
Become Idoru. We had this in last season where the rest of this flashback should have been. And then, so in the aftermath of this flashback, Riku gets sad, and he's like, well, I don't want I-7 to end, but I guess if it does end eventually, I hope we're able to say that it was for the best. And Iori's like, I'm never going to be happy if we stop doing IDOLiSH7. I want to be a fucking idol till I die. Fuck you, Riku.
Never happened under my watch.
Not on my watch, bitch. And then, we're doing this till we die.
And Rio's, not Riku, Rio, the bad guy's reaction is like, well, it's okay. I'll get rid of Bonri for you so you'll be happy again, Momo.
And Momo's just like, you suck so bad. I hate your ass.
So he's just like, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. And Rio's like, well, if that's the case, I'm going to cut your strings and crush you.
And Momo's like, you do that, bud. And then he leaves the building and Yuki's waiting outside the building with a baseball bat.
Yep.
And he's like, I was going to come in if I heard screams.
Yep.
And I'm like, Yuki, I fucking love you so much.
He's so
weird. The best way I can describe Yuki is he's just a fucking weirdo. But he's a different genre of weirdo than Gaku. Like, Gaku's his own genre of weirdo, but they're both... The white-haired ones are the weirdos.
Yeah, I feel like Yuki and Takane from Idolmaster would get along.
No, they would, though. They fucking would, though. Maybe Yuki is also from the moon.
That's very possible. I think that's true.
Maybe that's why he's so weird. It's just he's from the moon, and he's probably joked about that, and people just don't believe him. That's my Yuki headcanon now.
Episode 10 is just a fluff piece.
It's fluff along with the next episode. 10 and 11 is just... So we had 2 episodes of flashback, and now we have 2 episodes of fluff. We have a training arc episode at the end of season 3, which is buck wild.
And it's all 3 groups are scouted to be in this 24-hour charity program. There's some like weird ominous things at the beginning being like, oh, Rio must have put us up to this because it's suspicious, but like nothing comes out of it.
Yet.
So...
Yet again, it's a Cotton Eye Joe moment, but I have a very, very strong suspicion this is gonna get resolved in part 2. Like if this doesn't get closure, I will be extremely surprised. This has to be part of it, right?
Hopefully,
it has to be.
Because otherwise, it's just weird having it in there.
Otherwise, it's just weird, yeah. But yeah, so they get recruited to this, and as part of it, it turns into a live broadcast, kind of, sort of they have 24... They send them away to a sleepaway camp, and they have 24 hours to write, choreograph, and design costumes for the opening theme song for this charity event. And the charity event's going to be like some 24 hours thing, so this is like another 24-hour... Wow, they have 24 hours to do this!
The first of the 2 episodes is extra fluff because they don't even work on the song.
They don't. They just get drunk immediately.
Yeah, the older boys get drunk. They start spouting out all of their secrets on camera. The managers are like, cut this.
Yeah, no, it's like there's a lot of funny shit that comes out of this episode, but it really is just fluff. Some of my moments that I wrote down in my notes are 10 has to be nice to Riku since the cameras are rolling, and in my head I'm like, yeah, be nice to your brother, you little shit.
Yep.
Because the cameras are rolling.
Also, Riku can see a ghost, I guess.
Oh yeah, there's ghosts. Like there's a ghost who like follows them around and fucks with them.
This just feels like Suki Uda, and I'm like, I don't like this.
Sarah has war flashbacks to Suki Uda.
Suki Uda flashbacks.
But no, like, as, like, just a little accent piece, this was a fun 2 episodes, but it felt weird. The timing felt so weird.
The only notable thing to me that happened is at the end, we get 10 singing. He sings Zero's Dis One, but, like, solo and just, like, with acoustic backing track.
Yeah, it was a nice little moment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, just one other thing I want to say is, like, the boys get drunk immediately, and all the managers are, like, in the little green room, like, hidden away, and they're like, why did we give them alcohol? This was such a bad idea. I'm gonna go, and Tsumugi's like, I'm gonna go hide the alcohol. And so, later, Sogo is, like, drunk off his ass, and he, like, goes to the fridge looking for more alcohol, and all that's in there is a giant water bottle and a bunch of energy drinks, and a note from the manager that says, please start having conversations we can actually use, and I die.
Yeah.
It's like, please, for the love of God, stop being drunk and actually do something, because you're being recorded, you dumb motherfuckers. That was so good. But anyway, and so Training Camp Part 2.
Training Camp Part 2, the first half of the episode is Part 2. Second part of the episode has more stuff, thankfully.
Yeah.
The first part, they finished their stuff. They're just working and they do it.
Much finish it.
And they're all tired, but they're like, yep, we're happy with the results.
Training camp over.
Training camp over. Ten goes home, and his adoptive father's there.
Mm-hmm. Cujo dad.
And he's like, hey, this weird, like, green hair boy keeps following me around and like yelling insults at me. What the fuck is up with him?
Whomst the fuck is this green-haired bastard? And Cujo's like, oh yeah, he was kind of like you, but he sucks. I never adopted him because he wasn't worth my time. He was a failed project, is I think what he calls him. Yep. And Ten's like, that's not fucked up at all.
Nope, this is normal.
Yep. And so now it's time for a moment with the evil boys.
Mm-hmm. The evil boys.
Yeah. So Rio says, evil Rio. Is like the Friends Day charity stream will be the start of the rivals' downfall. And the boys vote. It's like, who do you want to fuck with first? And all the boys kind of like, it's like, we're fucking with Trigger first. And then like Rio's like, it's time to fuck with Trigger then. That's what he talks like.
Yep. And then we're at the Trigger headquarters, and Trigger's manager's talking to the president, like, I feel like they're not getting enough work as much as they used to. Like, they're losing, like, offers to be on commercials and stuff. And then Rio bursts in and is like, hey, sell me Trigger or else.
Sell me Trigger! Give me your idolus or they will perish! And Trigger Dad's just like, get the fuck out of my office, which honestly, good for him.
Yeah. And then Rio's like, well, that means you're going down.
You're going down, you son of a bitch. Bye!
Bye.
Just flicks him double birds on the way out. I am going to destroy your life. Bye! Bye! Then we cut to a scene in a cafe.
Well, actually, one thing
is
important is, I guess, as Rio leaves, he's like, oh, well, you refuse me. You must be one of Momo's friends. You're part of his athletic club. And Yaotomi's like,
that's right.
What does this mean? Reveal, get over here and explain to me what this athletic club is.
And Momo's like, okay, so here's the shit.
And
here's the tea.
And he's just like, yeah, this athletic club is just a bunch of my entertainment industry buddies, and we all just hang out and work out together because we're just a bunch of good boys.
We're just a bunch of good boys. And then Trigger producer is just like, okay, because he thinks you guys are doing a modern-day Chiba salon. And Momo's like, but we're just good boys, though.
Yep. So, turns out Rio is just a union buster. And that's why he's doing all of this.
No wonder he's such a fucking asshole.
Yep. Workers rise up, guys.
Rise up. Anyway, so now we cut to the cafe scene. Nagi, so this takes place in Akihabara, and Nagi's just there because that's where he hangs out, of course. And we see that girl idol. We see her, Sumire, the one who's having the one who works for Tsukumo, and has just been having a real hard time. And Ryunosuke, good boy, agreed to talk to her about her agency. And so the two of them meet up at this cafe, and Nagi overhears them talking, so suddenly he's involved. And basically she says, I kind of want to quit. I don't want to quit being a vocalist, but I want to quit Tsukumo. But if I quit, they told me I would never work in this town again. So do you think that you could talk to my office for me? But Nagi, being a very good princely boy, jumps in and is like, I will talk to your company.
And they're like, where did you come from?
He's like, I was behind the shrubbery. Because literally he was.
Yep.
There's like a plant in this cafe and he rises up out of it.
And Sumire is like, this wasn't supposed to happen.
This was not part of the script. And Ryunosuke's like, what do you mean script? And she's like, nothing. So they go outside, and she puts him on the phone with Tsukumo, her agency, and he's like, hey, so I wanted to talk to you about Sumire. Wait, what? No, I didn't say anything. You're gonna cancel her contract, and then you're gonna let our agency take her? Wait, I didn't ask for that. What are you doing? Click, beep, beep, beep. They hung up on me, is basically what happens.
And then she just jumps into, like, an unmarked van and leaves.
No, it's a taxi.
Okay.
It's a taxi. That's what taxis look like. Okay. But yeah, so she just jumps in a car immediately after this conversation, and Ryunosuke and Nagi are just looking at each other like, that was weird, right?
And then Nagi's friend shows up and is like, yep, that was weird. Also, hi, I'm here.
Also, I'm here. And everyone's like, who the fuck are you? And this is apparently Nagi's stalker.
Maybe.
Kind of, sort of, yeah, probably. He looks like a fucking otaku, though. Like, he looks like an otaku who knows how to dress himself.
We have seen this man before in some of flashbacks of Nagi in North Maria. So
have we? I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, he was at least at the beginning of the season when Nagi's like, I didn't want this to happen again. He flashed back to this boy. So
I must have missed that.
Yeah, so he's here in person.
Mm-hmm. And then, so episode 12, we have 2 left because it's a 13-episode season. Sarah, I'm going to let you talk about the Tsumugi and Gaku thing.
Okay.
That's your love.
I will talk about the whole thing. It happens interspersed throughout the episode, but so we don't have to cut. We will just say what happens. So at the beginning of the episode, Gaku and Tsumugi have their normal, like, oh, hey, how are you doing? Like, their friendly niceties. Gaku has a complete crush on Tsumugi. It's very cute.
He's such a fucking puppy. It's adorable.
He's just a good boy. And Tsumugi is just like, oh, yeah, it's really great seeing you, Gaku. I like working with you. And then they look around and they're like, notice a bunch of people are whispering. And they're like, and Gaku's like, I gotta go.
Uh-oh.
And one of the other people working at this television studio goes up to Tsumugi and is like, hey, do you think you can get me an in with Gaku? You guys are really close. Maybe he turned me down for dinner, but if you're there, he might not turn me down. And Tsumugi's like, well, Gaku turned you down, so why don't you have dinner with the IDOL7 boys instead?
Yeah, it's the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, but in the end, and this happens actually towards the end of the episode after some other shit happens. But Gaku is talking to like his makeup artist, and his makeup artist is also like, wow, you and Tsumugi, the producer from IDOLiSH7, sure are close, aren't you? Are you dating? And he's like, I gotta nip this shit in the bud. So he eventually runs into Tsumugi and is like, hey, I need to talk to you. Come in this room with me. And then he sees Riku come up and he's like, oh, actually, Riku, you come too. It's important that you're there.
I feel like a lot of that was just like making it so it didn't look like they were having secret meetings behind closed doors.
That's exactly what it was, because he was aware of what the public image is. And this just means poor Riku has to be there in this very awkward situation.
Just very awkwardly third wheeling.
Yes. So Gaku walks in to this room with Tsumugi and is like, hey, I'm sure you've noticed all the people staring at us. And Tsumugi's like, yeah, I noticed. And Gaku's like, well, the truth is, I wear my heart on my sleeves, I couldn't contain my emotions, and I'm in love with you.
Oh, Sarah. The shipper giggles.
And then he's like, and I'm sorry about that. I will back off. I won't talk to you anymore. I'll let all these rumors die. And I shouldn't have put you through this. It's
so fucking sad.
But the pining, Star. The pining.
The pine treating.
This is nothing else has to happen. I got my fan fiction prompt for me to read. It's after this point, Star.
Have you actually looked up fanfics?
I mean, I'm just currently at I figured out
how many tabs do you have open right now,
Okay,
Sarah?
I haven't really read any fanfics yet, but I did figure out what the Japanese hashtag is for the ship, and I have been looking at PixID.
Bravo, you motherfucker. Bravo.
Some very cute comics that I've been looking at, and some just cute, like, wedding. There's all fluff. There's so much good fluffy stuff.
Yeah.
So it's okay because later on they're going to get married and these two companies are going to merge and it's going to be a resolution to their parents' trauma and it's going to be great.
Is that how it ends, Sarah?
That's how it ends, at least in these comics.
Your fan comics that you're reading on Pixiv.
Okay, I mean, I'm not even reading, right? Because I don't speak very good Japanese. I'm just like, oh, here's a picture of Gaku and Samugi and 3 kids. This is great. Look at their children.
Oh my god, I fucking love you so much.
So, anyways, the pining, I don't even need anymore. I am satisfied. I'm full up.
God, I don't know why this jumped into my head, but the listeners already know what my zodiac sign is. I kind of want people to guess yours, because I'm not sure how guessable it is.
Just think about the intensity of emotion I have for this romance.
Because Sarah, I feel like, and this is a bit of a hint maybe, I feel like you and I are I'm not an astrology bitch by any means. Astrology's fucking fake. I just like the aesthetics of it, because I like constellations. They're pretty. But it feels like both of us are zodiac signs that people just fucking hate.
Yep.
But we love each other. It's camaraderie, baby.
Hey.
I always hear so much shit about your sign, and I hear so much shit about my sign, and so
it's okay. Like, I can take the shit.
Yeah, we got a podcast.
I can take the shit and take them down.
You could. You joked about me killing a man earlier. I would kill a man and cover it up. You would kill a man and then, like,
let everyone know
about it. But no one would believe you because you're so cute.
It's true.
But you did almost give me a concussion like a week after we met, so I mean, hey,
it happened.
But Sarah flipped me. I'm not sure if we've ever told this story on the podcast. I think
we've talked about it a lot, actually.
I'm sure we must have, but, like, yeah, Sarah flipped me like a week into our friendship.
It was a reflex.
She says.
But yes, Gaku confesses to Samugi. Samugi is just kind of, like, sad about this. She, like, leaves the room, is like, I wish I was born a man, and you're like, oh, the pining.
The pining.
Sarah is for this. And poor Riku's just there in the corner being like, trying to talk, and Gaku's like, shut up, I need to just talk to her.
Shut up, you just need to be here so that people don't come up with rumors about us making out behind closed doors.
Yep. So, that's that.
So that's their plot for the whole episode.
So, Star, you can get into your boys' bullshit.
Nagi's whole thing. So, I don't know this dude's relationship with Nagi. He very much seems like a stalker, but he seems like a stalker in the way that a butler would be a stalker. He cares very much about his prince. And so, basically, like, Nagi just, like, gets back to the dorm in a fucking rush, and he's like, hey, don't open the door behind me. And everyone's like, what's behind you? Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. And it's this fucking guy, Thorvaldur is his name, and I thought at first that maybe perhaps that was like his online screen name, because is he an otaku? Maybe. And then I realized no, it's probably it's like a North Marian name. Because the way they do North Marian in this show is they speak Japanese, but there's like Norwegian subtitles.
I think I saw a thing. It's actually, I think on Crunchyroll, someone said it was like Danish or something.
Something, yeah. It's some sort of, like, European language. Like, I don't know, Slavic maybe, but it's something. There's like the circles over the A's sometimes, and I'm like, oh, European.
Yes.
And so like they're just talking, and then everyone else is like, I can't understand a word they're saying. It's very funny. Mm-hmm. And so basically, I'm gonna call him Thor. Mm-hmm. Because he is blonde. Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna call him Thor because it's easier to say than his whole fucking name. And so basically he's like, I told you, your building is not up to snuff with security. You need to tighten your security. And Nagi's like, please leave. And Thor's like, no, I can prove to you that your security needs work. And then suddenly the power goes out in the building and he breaks the fuck in and tackles Nagi.
Yep.
And then some of the other boys arrive home and they're like, wait, why is the door hanging open? Who's that on top of Nagi? And Nagi's like, this is my stalker. Everyone say hi. And they're like, wait, is he actually your stalker? And Thor's like, no. And Nagi's like, yes.
Well, Nagi actually says, no, he's my friend, but, sometimes...
He's my friend, but he's kind of a stalker, though. And then, like, a bunch of pictures of, like, young, princely Nagi, like, fall out of this dude's fucking fanny pack. And I'm like, dude... You're not doing a good job at making you're not helping your case. No, not at all. And so eventually Nagi's like, okay, yeah, time for you to go. And on the way out, Thor's like, your extension to stay here is not going to last much longer. And Nagi's like, that's only because you don't do your fucking job well enough. Bye! Mysterious. And it's like, Cotton Eye Joe moment. Where'd that plot point come from? We're never going to hear about it again until next season, probably.
And Nagi has said before that he's a prince, and he's probably a prince, but they just don't talk about it, so I guess we'll get that eventually.
We don't talk about Nagi! No. We don't talk about Nagi, but...
and Star, then the third big plot thing that happens is also about one of your boys.
Yes, let me find it in my notes because they're all out of order because we did things kind of out of order because there's 3 different plots happening. Mm-hmm. The IDOLiSH7 boys, they're at their dorm and then they see on the TV... Breaking news! Ryunosuke from Trigger and this Sumire girl are in a relationship. They were on a secret date at this cafe. Oh my god, what's gonna happen? And everyone's like, whoa.
Uh-oh.
Whoa. This is kind of interspersed with the whole Gaku thing, but meanwhile, Ryunosuke is just being hounded by paparazzi, and Sumire, like, published on her blog that her transfer to like, Trigger's company, she announced it on her blog before anybody had time to react to it, because, like, the Trigger president was like, we need to call her and tell her that it's not happening, and then she goes on her blog and is like, guess what's happening? And they're like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, if we drop her now, then all of her fans are going to be pissed at us. But if we take her on, all of her fans are going to be pissed at us. And then everyone thinks that her and Ryunosuke are dating, and he is just too much of a good boy for this. And so, Momo kind of, like, tells the Trigger boys what's happening, and Momo's like, they think that we're the new Chiba Salon, and now Rio has it out for Trigger, and he's trying to bring you guys down, and Rio's like, well, wait, Nagi was also there during the whole quote-unquote secret date thing, maybe he could say something about it. But no, I don't want to bother him, and everybody else there is like, let's bother him!
So they go to bother Nagi, and Ryu is still like, I don't want to bother him.
He's like, I don't want to bother him, and everybody else is like, we're gonna bother him for you, because you're a good boy. Like, I think that's actually, like, they don't call him a good boy, they're like, you're a nice guy, so we're gonna help you out. And Ryu's just like, I'm too much of a good boy for this. It's very cute. And then, so... the episode ends with the Gaku confession / breakup.
The pining.
And now we are on to episode 13. And now we are on to episode 13, the final episode.
Of the first part of the fourth episode of IDOL7 Third Beat.
So fucking complicated. But hey, you know what? At least they didn't sneak a movie in there.
True. Don't curse us,
At least
Star.
they didn't sneak a movie in there real low-key, like.
They did give us a YouTube miniseries, though.
Mm-hmm. But the YouTube miniseries is subtitled in, like, every language, and it is free to watch.
Hey.
As opposed to some idol anime that have 2 movies between their first and second seasons that are required to understand the plot and don't publish them anywhere where your overseas audience can watch them.
Nope.
Had to find that shit randomly fan subbed on YouTube. I mean, totally legally.
Yep. Wake up, girls.
More like... episode 13 of IDOLiSH7. So the groups are as follows. The first group, these kind of cut back and forth between each other, so I feel like we should just say one and then the other. So Nagi, Gaku, and Mitsuki go to Evil Boy Ryo's house to confront him, and they're like, hey, what the fuck? And Ryo just responds by doing what he does best, being a total fucking dick. And he's like, oh, well, if it isn't Gaku, the man whose dad hated his mom so much that he just, like, your mom's a replacement and you have divorced parents, haha. And Gaku almost punches him and starts crying a little bit, and I'm like,
Don't be
my
so
heart.
mean.
And then like Mitsuki's tries standing up to him, and Ryo's like, oh, well, if it isn't Mitsuki, the second-rate idol that nobody likes, and Mitsuki's like, that would work on me, but I had character growth last season, so fuck you. And he says nothing to Nagi, which makes me think he just doesn't give a shit about Nagi, or doesn't have anything on Nagi. And
Nagi actually does try to be like, oh, this didn't happen. And then Ryo's like, well, my public statement is, yep, it happened, bye.
Bye, you can't do shit because you have your idols and you have to be nice to me, bye! And he drives away. And then the second part of the story is, who goes here? Ten and Yamato go talk to Sumire, the girl, at a bar, and she is there with Tight Pants.
And this is before they show up, and Tight Pants is... He's such a fuckboy. He's so bad.
No, he's a literal fuckboy. Like, I hate that he's hot.
Yeah.
Because he's the fucking worst.
No, like not even like, oh, he's a bad evil guy. Like, he's a bad person. Like, he's like... No,
genuinely.
To this poor idol girl, she's all like, I did what you asked. Are you gonna marry me like you said? And he's like, I don't know about that. You better do good. Like, he's so gaslighty and manipulative and just like the gross man.
No, Sarah. I've been thinking about this since last night. So the fuckboy quartet, we find out this at the end of the episode. They form an idol unit and their name is Zool.
Like the bad guy from Ghostbusters.
I was gonna say like Zoolander, but sure.
No, the bad guy in Ghostbusters is Zool.
Do you think that's where they got the name from?
I don't know.
I'm kind of curious now. I'm already on the wiki.
I think Zool is spelled with 2 U's and the Zool is with 2 O's. But
yeah, and one of them has like an umlaut or something.
But I mean, it's the bad guy from Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Okay, it doesn't actually, like, say anything really about them. It just says what categories they're in. Damn it, IDOLiSH7.fandom.com. I need the deep lore. Can we rope Ghostbusters into our Idolluminati bullshit? I would love to see that. Between the two of us, we could come up with a way to do it, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. We just might need to watch more anime to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, our April Fool's episode, we watch Ghostbusters.
Wait, no. This episode, Riku saw a ghost.
Ghostbusters Idolluminati confirmed! We already know what we're doing for our April Fool's episode, but maybe next year, April Fool's, we watch Ghostbusters.
I mean...
They're totally idols. Listen, if it's idols if we say it's idols.
But only if Star and Sarah Idolmasters say it. Nobody else is allowed to determine what an idol is.
We are the deciders. We're
the key holders.
We are the Keyblade wielders of idol lore. It's idols if we say it's idols. And I'm going to have to hold on to that for my next episode that I have planned. Because we'll talk about it at the end of the episode. We'll put a key in that. We'll come back to it later. Keep that key in the ignition for like 10 more minutes. But yeah. So I think that we should take a pause and decide which one of the Zool members fits for gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss, mansplain, manipulate, and none of them get to be male wife because that sounds like a nice boy thing, and none of these boys are nice.
I mean, Rin from Free could be a male wife.
No,
I think he has potential.
I feel like he's somewhere between mansplain and male wife.
He's probably the least bad of all of them.
I mean, I would argue for what's his fucking name? I want to call him Natsuki, but it's Minami Natsume is his name.
No, but he was the jerk. See, at least Rin from Free, he looks like a bad boy, but he's the one who was a softie and was like, yeah, I'll help you, Riku.
That's true. I guess we haven't really gotten too much of them this season. I feel like the opinions this should maybe be a conversation we have after we get to know these boys after the next season.
Yeah,
but a preliminary judgment.
At least Tight Pants is gaslight, because he's an asshole.
Well, he's also manipulate, though. Yeah. He is like the poster boy for manipulate. Gaslight, manipulate.
Maybe he's all of them except for male wife.
Except for male wife, he does not deserve.
No, he does
not.
When
I hear male wife, I think like Toma from Genshin Impact. Who's just like...
I don't Genshin, I don't know who this is.
I know you do, but everybody who does know Genshin just kind of nodded solemnly with me. He's like, his self-proclaimed title is he is a housekeeper. Aww. He's a very good boy.
Good boy.
He has a stupid ponytail, though. Anyway, this is not a Genshin Impact podcast. No. This is a gaslight, gatekeep, idol anime podcast.
So, basically, Tight Pants manipulates Sumire into being like, hey, keep doing this thing, and maybe I will continue, like, loving you.
No, it's so fucked. It's so fucked. Fuck this Final Fantasy Tight Pants boy. Red eyes, tight pants, cute hair, Final Fantasy. Get the fuck into the garbage can and stay there.
Listeners, if you know anyone in your life like this, they don't love you. Just leave. Just leave.
This is the hallmark abusive relationship if I've ever seen one in an anime. But she is definitely being manipulated. But so then he leaves, and then Ten and Yamato come in to have this conversation with her and basically try to talk her down off the ledge of causing this huge fucking scandal. So she is definitely being manipulated, so she, cannot be held entirely responsible for this. But I am not a fan of the evil woman being trope being used in this pretty boy show. I hate that all the good characters are boys, and just everyone in the show is a fucking boy, and when we finally have a female character who even looks like she has a little bit of agency, she's an antagonist who is being manipulated by one of the villains, and I'm like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, right now we only got Tsumugi.
Yeah, Tsumugi is the only good girl, and I'm like, yeah, I get that this is a show about the boys made for a female audience,
we need more.
But this ratio kinda sucks.
We need more girl power.
Girl power. Tsumugi needs a fucking friend, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I know we already have far too many characters, but I'd be okay if Tsumugi had a fucking friend to talk to sometimes.
Yep.
Who wasn't Bonri and, her coworkers.
Yep.
Anyway, so she basically says, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna follow through, you can't talk me down off this ledge, bye. And then Ten, as they leave this bar, Ten sees green hair literally just fucking running through the city like Sonic the Hedgehog, and Ten's like, I'm going after him, bye.
Yep.
And so he chases down green hair, and Greenhouse spouts more abuse at him about how, oh yeah, you guys as fans are just mindless sheeple. Wake up, sheeple, and smell the good idols. And then the credits roll halfway through the episode. The credits roll, it's only been 10 minutes, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yep.
We still have half an episode left.
So credits finish. So we continue on this angry talk. Ten's like, my dad said you're just a failed experiment. And then green hair boy is just like, no, you.
No, he was running through the city like Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh,
sorry,
you're right.
my mistake, because Riku is the ultimate life form, and green hair is Shadow. He's the failed ultimate life form. But what they don't know is that there's actually the other failed ultimate life form, who's a giant worm who lives in space. But this isn't a Sonic Adventure 2 battle podcast. This is an idol anime podcast.
Gotta weave Sonic into our Idol podcast somehow. We did
Listen,
we
Sarah,
did it for Vivi. We have to do it here for IDOLiSH7.
No, listen, Sarah, I promoted our podcast at IkiCon by saying that Sonic the Hedgehog is intrinsically woven into all of our lore. I have to live up to it, okay?
Idol-Illuminati
the ultimate
confirmed.
idol is a worm who lives in space, and we'll meet him someday.
That's actually what the Center Nova creepy thing is from AKB.
Oh,
the worm that lives
space worm
/ the wall. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, we've done it. He was the ultimate life form, but he was a failed experiment, so they sent him to space to become, and now you have to fight him by, like, shooting him.
Well, yes.
And bouncing off of, like, the weird stuff.
Because otherwise he raptures...
That boss fight's gross.
Because otherwise he raptures all the good idols.
By taking them to space! Sarah, we've done it! We've solved it.
Idol-Illuminati / Sonic the Hedgehog confirmed.
I forget the name of that boss, but the first phase of it ruined my life for like a whole month. I couldn't get past that shit. Little Star was not very good at video games, but she tried very, very hard to beat the fucking, like, third secret arc of Sonic Adventure 2 battle.
Hey.
I'm gonna stream that game one day and just let all the trauma out. Anyway. Anyway, it's time for Bad Boy Idols.
Yeah, so Riku also runs into Rin from Free, and it continues
it's
about being like
basically a
same
rehash of the conversation they had earlier, yeah.
And then he's like, hey, watch this, and then the lights go out.
And then they, like, there's just, like, it's very dramatic. They're just, like, in this one square. And there's, like, ads popping up on each building for all the new boys. And then, like, all the lights go out, and there's a fog machine.
And then suddenly... they sing, and then they come on stage, and they sing the song from Lion King.
No, Sarah, I literally wrote!
Be prepared.
Sarah, no, I'm gonna read you my notes fucking verbatim.
Did you also see the Lion King in this?
Yes! So, I wrote in my notes verbatim. Suddenly, ads start popping up on buildings announcing the Shit Boys' new group called Zool, and they go out on an outdoor stage with this new song and dance. It's called Poisonous Gangster. It's very edgy. It feels like a Disney villain song, but idols. And then I wrote in, like, a sub-note, isn't that just Twisted Wonderland? I think, maybe. Is that what that game is about? I haven't played it yet.
I think it
also, is. One additional note is they do live up to the Idolmaster stereotype of all the bad boy idol groups have to know how to do sick flips.
They're flipping like crazy on stage.
It is they have mastered the forbidden technique. And they're using it for evil.
But it really is. Like, if you have seen The Lion King, it's be prepared.
It's be prepared, like the lighting is all green.
Kind of what they're saying.
It's just like we're the bad boys and we're coming for your shit.
And we're gonna be on
the
top.
Bad boys.
We're gonna take you down.
We're gonna rise to the top. We're the gangsters.
We're gonna push you off a ledge.
We're gonna push you off a ledge. Long live the true idols. And I had a very vivid flashback, a brief star aside. When we were in high school, I had a friend who tried to get me into K-pop by showing me a bunch of just like K-pop boy music videos. And I remarked, do not ask me which group it was. I cannot fucking remember. There's too many of them, and they probably don't even exist anymore. But she was like showing me these edgy boys, and I'm like, their faces are all so soft and squishy. They don't look like they should be doing edgy boy things. And she's like, well, yeah, it's like, it's because they don't fit. And I'm like, these boys fit. These are some fucking Disney villains right here.
They are straight up Twisted Wonderland. And when.
Just yoink. I have not played that game, but from what I understand, it is humanized versions of Disney villains / they're not Disney villains. They're just different boys who have the motifs, but it's also Hogwarts houses. But it's still, I don't fucking know what Twisted Wonderland is. I just know that everybody on Twitter's going ham for it right now. It's Zoolander.
Zool, the bad guy from both Ghostbusters.
Yup, he is here.
He's the key holder.
He's 4 idols now. No, Sarah, we're the key holders.
Oh, right.
Wait, shit, no, Sarah.
The Keymaster, right?
We're the Keymaster. Mm-hmm, yeah, mm-hmm. I think Ghostbusters is an idol anime now because we said so. Mm-hmm. Because just by accident we have worked ourselves into this hole.
Yep, it's Ghostbusters.
Who are you gonna call?
Kujo-ten!
No, don't call him, he sucks!
I guess Rico, he's the one who could see ghosts.
Rico is the one good boy to save us all. So, maybe.
Speaking of Kujo-ten, just with this thing, I just wanted to point out that one of the fans in the audience are looking at these bad boys, and they're like, wow, it's like there's 4 Kujo-tens on stage.
And I'm like, good God, like, yep, no.
That's Star pointing that out.
These boys fucking suck, I hate them. But, like... Okay, so a couple months ago, before I knew who these punk asses were, there was kind of a day in the Idol Days Discord group, where we all did the IDOLiSH7 idol sorter, like determine who were your true best boys, and I put all of these boys above 10, though I didn't know anything about them because I hated 10 that much. I don't think things have changed much.
Wait, even more than fuckboy? I would put fuckboy at the bottom.
No, look, fuckboy fucking sucks, but they can all sit in the trash together tied for last place, okay? Okay. Tight pants, big fuckboy. Like, listen, tight pants has at least one redeeming quality. We can joke about his tight pants for like 10 minutes of our podcast. And joke about the fact that where is his dick? It obviously does not fit in those pants.
Well, no, again, everything, actually his whole bottom half is just stick figure. We just can't see it. Mm-hmm.
He is a Ken doll. That's why he's such a playboy. He has to compensate. Anyway, it ends on a fucking cliffhanger, and I don't know when the next part of the season's gonna come out, so we just have to sit in these feelings for a while.
Yes. You're sitting in your feelings. I am reading my fanfiction.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be over here just being like, I hope Sarah's living her best life.
I am. Gaku and Samugi are married. They have children. I think I saw a wedding fan comic too. Like, I'm doing good.
Of course you did. Yeah.
So, what did you think overall about IDOL7, Episode 4, Third Beat, Part 1?
It's our Episode 4.
Yes.
Like I said before, just because of the lack of follow-through on a lot of the big plot moments that we've been waiting for 3 seasons, just because of that, this is probably my least favorite season.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I just didn't like it as much as I was hoping to.
Yeah, and I guess some of the same things we talked about before is it's just, and I know we talked about this with Season 2 also, it's just the pacing is just a little bit off, and it's just a little bit too much like a mobile game. And it'd be great if some of it wasn't so much a direct port.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like if, it's like, y'all have so much breathing room with this anime now, it would be nice if you, like, wiggled out and actually, you know, maybe adjusted a couple, like, things in the pacing. But, yeah, I mean, I understand why they don't, I guess. If people are going into this anime expecting a port of the video game, then I'm sure fine, but I feel like there was a missed opportunity there, you know?
Yeah. Big agree. Star, have your best boys changed?
Probably not too much. I'm not sure if Yamato is fallen or if he's just kind of sticking there. I might need to do that idol boy sorter again now that I've met the trash boys. I'm gonna go dig up the IDOLiSH7 character sorter and do it again and see if my results have changed.
I know last season I said I kind of like Momo, but this season I'm like, nah, Momo's up there.
No,
Momo's
Momo
great.
definitely rose up quite a bit. He's just such a good fucking boy. He's probably in my top 5 now, if not my top. I mean, there's not that many boys. There's too many
lot of
boys.
boys.
I was gonna say if he's not in my top 5, he's in the least in my top 10. But there's like not much more than 10 boys if you discount the trash boys.
True.
If you take out the trash boys, there's like only 12 or 13, I think. So. Oh, I remembered what I was gonna talk about, but it's about my next episode.
Oh yes, give us spoilers, Star.
Okay, well, so which one of us is going first? We wrote it on the schedule.
I am going first, and I am doing a show that Star recommended to me because she says I would like it, and I haven't started it yet, so here we are.
If you pay attention to our podcast, I have brought up this show in the past by saying that Sarah needs to watch it because she would love it, and I'm going to stand by that because I know you're going to fucking love this show, Sarah. So that's going to be probably our next episode. And then my next episode, I was going to do something different. And then I changed my mind relatively recently because I was like, oh, wait, I could totally talk about this on the podcast, this thing that I've already watched. And it's good. I hope that people don't get too frustrated with us when we do shows that aren't strictly idol business. Because, there's a lot of crossover with other genres, and I think they're worth exploring.
And I know that people just want us to get to Ghostbusters faster, but guys,
I know, we gotta, it's gotta be that slow burn, The Ghostbusters Idol anime crossover episode is happening. We've already got our plans hashed out for our April Fool's episode, but maybe next year. It's a slow burn. Y'all gotta be patient and work on it. But yeah, so what I am doing is one of those things where the word idol is never said, but the main character is basically a net idol, and, singing is basically, her whole thing. And I have a lot of thoughts about it.
Whoa.
So Sarah's gonna hear them. And you guys will hear them too. And it's also topical because it came out fairly recently. So,
Ay.
I'm not gonna say any more because I don't want to spoil it.
Ay. So, Star, if people want to find us on the internet, where can they find us?
They can find us on our website. We've got a website, idoldays.card.co. That's idoldays.carrd.co. There's links to, episode, all of our episodes, little profile bios on us where you can find us, and it also has links to our Discord server, which you should totally join. Talk to us about idols. It's a pretty chill, relaxed vibe. There's not a whole lot of talking in there, but I'm gonna, as soon as this fucking episode comes out, I'm bringing back the freaking IDOLiSH7 idol sorter, because apparently I have to do it again. And Sarah, I need you to do it again as well.
Sure, yep, absolutely. And if you want to see some of our results, or if you want to send us your own results on social media, you can find us on Instagram or Twitter at IDOLDaysPod. That's at IDOLDAYSPOD.
On both Instagram and Twitter, yes. This has been Idol Days. Thanks for listening. We've been Lady. See you next live. Bye. And she is very... Milo, get the fuck out of my trash can. That's where the bad boys live.
Uh-oh.
You don't want to get all up in them. They're gonna gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss you. But anyway...